I have to admit, I told a bit of a porky-pie earlier. I never actually beat Donkey Kong 64 as a kid. So, to finally put this little fucker to rest, I'm gonna stream it. I'm gonna start the game again, and I'm gonna get absolutely everything in that game, including the rainbow coin, just to bring everything full circle, and I'm gonna get absolutely everything, all the bananas, not the minimum required for 101% completion, and I'm not gonna stop until it's done. All the donations will go to charity, so finally some good can come out of Donkey Kong 64, because certainly no fun has come out of it.
Jesus Christ. What have people been doing? Okay, well,
Thank you.
I'd like to say thank you to everyone who donated while I was getting ready, because you've basically proven me obsolete. Jeez.
Thank you.
Fuck. What? An unexpected amount of people are donating and watching the stream and leaving comments, and it's way harder to keep track of than I thought. So I'm just gonna start because there's no stop.
I'm Unicorn, and where's my puppy dog?
When we get 12 hours in, there won't be as many donates. So how do I hit start on this? Edit, open splits, control. Okay. Oh, can you do it? We did it! Our first collectible! We're well on our way. There's only about 29 million more to go. I hope that, like, whoever's watching this, like, after the fact, like on a channel somewhere, I wonder what context it'll be in, like, the last 24 hours of Hbomb's life. And not what I assume it would be, which would be like, you know, a stream he did. Who knows what it will be. Oh, I think I remember this character design. Oh no! Someone at Rare really wanted to fuck that monkey. Fuck! You know, my conservative estimate for like the most I would make for this entire 24 hours was about $3,000. And this is obscene, and thank you so much. And on behalf of Mermaids, who have not made me their official spokesperson yet, but they'll come around, thank you. I think I speak on behalf of all trans people when I say that. I'm joking, obviously. This is an incredible slow walking animation. Oh my goodness. This character fucking kicks ass. Look at that. People say the N64 is bad. How could it possibly be bad? How is that even possible? Have you seen Lanky Kong? Okay, what are we at now? 11. Wait. 11,000? What the fuck? Shout out to one of my favorite subreddits, Tra.
Oh yeah.
It's funny meme Reddit. There we go. Oh. There weren't enough zeros. We just encountered the weirdest problem ever. There weren't enough zeros in a donation goal for it to count. That is an obscenely wonderful thing. You people are being incredibly helpful to this charity, and I hope a lot of British trans kids and non-binary kids get help with it. I'm totally fine with a story where a character being gay doesn't come up very often, or at all, because it's not a big deal. But you can't just go, in retrospect, that happened. Points, please. Like, you've got to have it be a part of your story world that it's a thing that's normal, or something. But I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm a big fan of aspirational stories where you write a world that's better than ours and why it's better and how it got there, because I think that's like a really useful way of looking at it. But it sucks that a lot of people think that the way you do that is you say later, oh, they were really progressive. There's a great episode of Inside Number 9 that's characters voting on who should win who should win like an acting award, and everyone there is voting on who gets to win. And there's a series of twists and turns in there, and one of them is a writer who's trying to convince the director of a thing who's also on the panel to like direct his work, and he's like, there could be all kinds of representation in this. I could rewrite any character to be gay and stuff like that, and it's like, fuck. Is that the future of progressive media? It's like, nah. No one votes for that. No one wants that.
Yeah.
What people want is people who actually understand the experience being talked about to have a chance to talk about it and express it. But
Yep.
yeah,
Mate, you have raised almost $30,000 for like a kids charity. How do you feel about that?
it's not going to hit me until after I wake up, and the moment I wake up, it will be incredibly joyful. But I can tell it's going to be good. But right now, I just want to get that fucking pedestal.
The last question, I think, how the Mumsnet forum, the feminism board, has like slowly been taken over by TERF stuff from Graham Linehan, and how weird that is that it was like a mom forum. That's basically just what it was asking. I don't know a whole lot about that, but
Oh yeah, Mumsnet is just a fuck, I fucked this up.
It's a hive of turfitude.
Yeah,
isn't it?
Mumsnet is just a website for mums that has slowly become a fucking shit pile of just like TERFs and weirdos. Like, to be fair, like as with Something Awful, any internet like all forms of online media prioritize a certain kind of discourse and then eventually a certain kind of politics just by fiat. So Mumsnet was doomed to become a regressive, reactionary thing where instead of it being, how do I be a good mother? How do I, let's discuss this incredibly important topic. It was doomed to immediately become, how do I protect my child from whatever the bad things are? And the bad things are, inevitably, something I perceive to be different or new. And it was doomed to become what it was, even though, like, it's the noblest goal possible. How do I be a good parent? I assume that there was an attempt at a dad's net and it immediately became, MRA bullshit.
That's right.
Exactly.
It's just Jordan Peterson endlessly posting.
Yeah. The worst thing is, like, dad's rights is a thing. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, like, male parents get the short end of the stick in so many things, and I regard that as a feminist issue. But for some people, like, no. We bring this up purely to shout down feminists, and then, we go back in our cave.
I got onto to chapter 5 of 12 Rules for Life last night. I was reading it on the tube, with the spine taped up so nobody could see it, obviously.
Yeah.
It's the chapter about don't let your children do anything that'll make you dislike them. I'm like, oh, okay.
Don't make your order your children around. Oh, fuck.
Don't let your children do anything that will make you dislike them. And I was like,
That's dark shit. Chapter 6, why is
That's
there a
the
white
whole
entertainment
point
channel?
of
That's rule 6.
being a teenager. Like, that's all of your teenage years.
Yeah, that's why you.
but if
That's
you
why you do it.
master Skinner's reward psychology, then you can make people do what you want, and that's a good basis for social interaction, not the achievement of any kind of mutual emotional need. In fairness, in case there's any Jordan Peterson stands in the chat, I'm aware that I'm oversimplifying it slightly.
Oh, banana, growls Donkey Kong as we pick up our 50th banana award. This is back in the day when reviews started with little anecdotes.
Oh, banana.
That's kind of an old-fashioned thing now. But oh, banana, growls Donkey Kong as we pick up our 50th banana award in the game. We're in a cave filled with rich colours, shimmering water and hypnotic lighting effects. We've been playing for 20 hours, and they've played it longer than you have so far, and it seems like we've hardly made a dent. Maybe at hour 19 it gets amazing. We look at our inventory screens and can see that the quest is hardly over. According to Rare's calculations, we're only 29% complete with the overall adventure.
Oh no.
No! Stop! It's too hard! Why have you done this to me?
Oh god, it goes
I'm
on.
switching to
This really
gin.
goes on for a long time. You've got a little ways to go yet.
So this was from 2017, and discusses a. Yeah, I've posted about this on Twitter before, but the article itself is about how they're planning to break up what they call the LGBT alphabet soup. And
Oh,
each
yes, I've heard
individual
about that,
part
yeah.
is more, once you've got them all out of the way, like individually, they're easier to
It's divide and conquer. It's
exactly
ancient strategy, yeah.
Britain has been had a lot of transphobic stuff going on, and it's always it's always been there. But like over the last year or so, a lot of these new groups have started popping up, and it's all kind of linking back to the conservative Christian, the movement in the US. It's weird.
Yeah, it's definitely an old strategy. It's a thing that's been done before, but they always think it's unique. Like the thing you said, like what if, in a way, we're protecting women by making sure they can't work, because that means nothing bad happens in the bathrooms of the work. It's like, what are you saying? Just people shouldn't have the same rights as other people because it puts them in slightly more danger. Like, the danger doesn't, like, no one is safe. It's the bathroom thing doesn't make any sense. Like,
for your own good is again ancient.
What if someone commits a crime? Like, the crime is already illegal. Like, it's not. It doesn't make any sense. It's the part where it's just the arguments they made about gay people again is the thing. Is like the bathroom thing is the same, exactly, and it just makes it so blatant. I just.
They are past that 40k mark.
Oh wow! 40k.
When did that happen?
Kind of amusing is, and this is just completely out of nowhere. Oftentimes, Jim will talk about pre-order culture, and
that's the thing I mostly have a go at.
But what's amusing to me is that, if somebody says rape culture, you get a very angry men's rights activist going, "We don't live in a rape culture." You never see anybody angrily tweeting at Jim Sterling, "We don't live in a pre-order."
That's true. That is true.
It's like you can kind of guess the disingenuous nature of the.
I never said pre-order culture is a take on that, by the way.
No, but it's like people are obviously taking it in the context of what you mean it. But when people say rape culture, they take it deliberately misconstrued.
None of these people are being intellectually honest. None of these people are people you can make an argument and they go, oh, I see. Like,
I've had the whole toxic masculinity argument with people in my audience before, where it's because they think you're saying all masculinity is bad rather than talking about the brand of it that happens to be toxic. And at this point, like, an honest agreement.
Jim and Casey, what do you make of Catherine Full Body? I don't know.
Oh yeah, Catherine is a very complex issue that I'd love someone smarter than me's take on. Go, Casey.
Yeah, that came out in 2011. I remember hearing about it, and there was a trans character in it, which I believe the issue was that was it the game's manual outed her and dead named her, which, in case you don't know what dead name means, it's like the original name a trans person was given. So it's kind of like it's that's something that people take issue with, but the game interested me, caught my eye initially because to me at the time was just around the time I kind of first came out. Would have been back then, and I was like, they're like, as bad as stuff is now, there was scarcely any trans representation in video games at all, and it's kind of like, holy crap, here's a game that has an actual overtly trans character. I want to see this. I want to check this out. So it's kind of like a lot of trans people do have issues with the game for understandable reasons. But for me, in the back of my mind, there, it's kind of like I've wanted to check this out for so long, and yeah, so I jumped all over that. So even that's the kind of weird thing for trans people. Even some very problematic representation is still representation that some people will kind of grab.
I think this is
okay.
It's time to move to the skeleton crew.
He's got the skeleton. I called it. I fucking knew it. I fucking called it.
Head into the light.
I said, "Get the skeleton from the garage," and he was like, "No." Now he's. Oh. Hey.
Carrying a bowl of like stuff.
It's unavoidable.
I think it's beans.
I tried to die. I went to the edge of the abyss, and they sent me back. They said,
hi.
You must finish the work, Harris. Don't come to my house.
We're rustling.
Well, who came in?
This is Mermaid's gender. The
Hello?
CEO of Mermaids.
Is that Mermaids
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, this is Susie.
Hi, Susie. Nice to meet you. My name's Harry.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Sorry, I'm crunching on a pepper that I just started eating because I just woke up, and this is very rude of me. Susie,
Yes.
you probably only just found out who I am and aren't really sure what is happening or why, and the same is true of me. I'm not really certain. I did not predict this to happen.
Well, I found out this morning. I sort of woke up because I had some friends over last night, and I was like, okay, I'm going to take some time off being CEO of Mermaids, and I'm just going to get drunk. And then woke up this morning to see all these messages about this amazing online gaming that was going on and this donation stream that was coming in. I'm like, what? The actual? Really? And I was, yeah, very, very pleased. And I have now been addicted all day.
So Susie, while we have you here,
Yes,
tell us a little bit about Mermaids, like what mission statement,
Yeah.
what...
Okay. So, we're a support group for children. Essentially, we're sort of here to try and make the lives of kids who are struggling with gender dysphoria less hard. And that's through a variety of different things that we do. In terms, we've got a helpline and an email service. We've got online forums for young people between 12 and up to 20, and then we've also got a parents online forum. And a lot of the work that we do is with parents to help parents to support their kids better, but we also do a lot of work directly sort of supporting young people, so they'll come to us.
Do you know what's going on with regards to the National Lottery?
We are talking to the lottery. They've asked us loads of questions. So basically, Graham Linehan on Mumsnet obviously kicked off a campaign that meant that lots and lots of emails were sent to the CEO of the big lottery.
Poor Dawn, yeah. I can imagine thousands of emails.
Just an absolute deluge. They must. I mean, I don't know how many she got, but obviously that kicked off a series. I think they have to, based on a certain level of correspondence, they then have to review. So we were like, okay, whatever you want to know, we'll tell you. So we've been talking to them and answering questions, and we are hoping sort of by the end of the month that we'll have a resolution to this. This is probably one of the most incredible things I've seen. And to be fair, I think from the 17th of December onwards has been a really, really difficult time. And this has absolutely made my January. This absolutely has. It's so good. And all of my staff who were so sad when this was put under review are just buzzing with this. You have just absolutely made everybody's January. This is amazing.
Wow, thank you so much. That's very supportive.
If the lottery money doesn't come in, then we'll use this money to actually fund posts, I think. And if we get the lottery money, then this means that we can do more in terms of our facilities and probably hire another person at least and provide more residential weekends. So it's This is a gift. Honestly, this is such a gift. But it's not a gift just from the money side, but it's also a gift from the support side. It's just incredible. As I say, it's made my January to see so many people going. We believe in mermaids. We believe in what Mermaids does. We believe in trans kids, and we believe that they should be supported. It's just incredible.
I have to mention the guy who did the music for this game, Grant Kirkhope, I think, has tweeted about the stream, which is amazing. I've said some rude things about Grant during this stream, but I also think his music is good. I think I've insulted him as if he made the game a few times by accident. So sorry for that, Grant, but yeah. I think we've discovered the secret depressing thing about charity, which is that no charity should actually exist. There should already be systems that take care of this and sort this out, and people shouldn't have to be this generous in order to, perpetuate something that does good things. It should just be built into the system. And
absolutely,
I agree.
Yeah,
100%. And it's actually one of the things that's one of my things that I want to happen. I want for mermaids not to be needed. I've been involved with the charity for like 19 years because I phoned them when my daughter was 6. And spoke to one of the founder members and got involved as a parent, then became a trustee, became chair, and then I sort of recognised about 5, 6 years ago that things were starting to get busier and trans issues were becoming more visible. So we started looking at sort of professionalising. So I came on board as a first paid member at the beginning of 2016. By the end of 2016, I then had a helpline operator, manager, and a part-time trainer. And since then we've just grown and grown. So it's mostly about demand and trying to cope with that demand and make sure that we're ready. Because, as I say, we've gone from 400 emails and phone calls to sort of 7,000 plus within this year so far, and we've not even reached sort of the year end. I don't know why it's grown so much, but this is something that we're seeing sort of globally. And I think my theory is that as more and more information about trans issues and being transgender, and more people are talking openly about it, that young people feel better able to talk and better able to share who they are. And parents are becoming more accepting and likely to listen to their kids. So I think it's not that there are more trans people. I just think that they're realising they're not having to face as much hate as they used to. Trying to trans children and to make everybody that comes to, telling everybody that if a little boy wants to put a dress on, that means that they're trans. And it's just so ludicrous that we would ever have that sort of input.
This is just today. How can viewers help Mermaids going forwards? Like what, like long term, or just like how can they help tomorrow? How can they help next month, 6 months from now?
I think one of the things that is really common that people don't even realize happens until you start to think about it and recognize it in your day-to-day life is how common casual transphobia is, in terms of calling somebody a tranny or taking the mickey out of somebody or saying, oh, maybe they used to be a man. That's sort of just generally making trans people the butt of a joke. Call it out. Please don't allow that to happen. It shouldn't always be the trans person or the family member of a trans person who has to stand up for trans people's rights. This is something that everybody should be doing just because it's decent. What we need to do is, after this, we'll have like a little bit of a private conversation, because what I'd really like to do is to introduce you to maybe a couple of the families and the kids.
Oh my god.
That would be really nice if that's okay with you.
I'd love that, yeah. Thank you so much.
I know that everybody, on our parents and our youth channels are watching, on our youth groups and parents groups are watching this. So it'd be really great just to work out where you are and then sort out, some of a few families to get together. So we'll all go out for a big pizza, wherever. We'll work it out. But that'd be really nice.
That sounds wonderful. Thank you. Wow. So thank you. I will say a special thank you to Casey for doing a lot of the management. Without Casey's help, we wouldn't know that Mermaids had found out any of this was happening, and Casey's done most of the liaising on my behalf. He's basically been the producer of this, and has also hung out for ages while I was asleep and kept everything going. So thank you so much. And Boxful of Bats as well.
Can I just ask a question? How did you find out about Mermaids? How did we come to your attention?
Graham Linehan, yeah.
Graham Linehan.
Graham
Really?
Linehan, the greatest PR man of all time.
You know, this has been so massively impactful, not just from the point of view that it's giving us very, very much needed funds, but it is also raising awareness. It's allowing people to know about who we are and what we do. And for our kids and our young people who are watching this, who are following this, it gives them so much reassurance that actually the world can be a better place, and that is invaluable. I can't tell you how much that means.
It means a lot to me that you came on to say that. Thank you so much.
No, thank you so much, and good luck. And I will be following, but I am gonna go and have a nap.
Please do. It's midnight here. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Nice to meet
Thanks,
you.
everybody. And you. Bye.
Bye.
Nice.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
Is that real? Did I copy paste that wrong?
What?
Tofu, yeah, tofu is sooner than you think it is.
Did we?
Yeah, tofu is coming right up.
Yeah.
Sorry, no, it's actually, like, the whole time I've been kind of coasting on firing brain stuff waves to, like, not really looked at the number, but it's dawned on me that we've raised 75,000, and it's just actually...
Oh, we have. Absolutely.
Fuck. You raised like $76,000 now almost for a children's charity. That's what you've done in the last 27 hours.
And we all have Donkey Kong to thank.
Yeah. Somebody draw a picture of Donkey Kong with the trans flag.
Oh,
Done
sweet.
good, man.
Sweet boy.
I'm good, man.
You did good.
You wield such power and you use it for such good things.
Thank you so much.
That was supposed to be more sincere than I'm not very good at affecting sincerity.
We have two emotions
get what you were going for.
Yeah, it's just like I've trained myself to brittle, bitter irony. Yeah, that I don't know how to affect sincerity into my voice anymore. So I do apologize for that.
No, I get what you were going for. Thank you.
It's like, no, you're doing a good job.
Well,
sorry.
It's okay that the emotions have gone back in now and been replaced with the understanding that there's another 10 hours to go.
Ellen Murray she's the founder of Transgender Northern Ireland, is saying that things like this are so important for instilling hope in trans young people. There are often so few sources of that these days, so seeing thousands of people supporting you is incredible. Thank you from the bottom of my heart to every single person.
You're gonna make me cry again. But seriously, thank you, for all of this. I had no idea this would happen.
It's a little hard to keep on top of all the messages coming in and everything.
Yeah.
So
thank you for keeping on top of them, Casey. It's been good having someone do that. Clearly, what this signals to me is that there is a lot of love and support out there, and it just hasn't been tapped because everyone's kept quiet by just utter nonsense all day.
And honestly, on a very serious note, seeing that number keep increasing over the last day, I've been working, so I haven't really been able to be part of everything, but watching that number continue to increase, it just makes me feel more and more and more confident with just the fact that people are out there actually supporting people.
They're out there, yeah.
Which is amazing because so often it feels like, in the real world, everyone just is super against you. So I think this is going to make a lot of trans people feel a lot more safe in the world, and that makes it incredibly valuable. So thanks, Hbomb.
I'm the only person who shouldn't be being thanked here. Everyone else did. Everyone else gave this money to Mermaids. I didn't.
I think it is always a little staggering for the cis people of liberal Twitter to really get a grasp on just the negativity and antipathy that trans people have to deal with on the day-to-day. So it's sad that we even have to do this, but at the same time that we can do it in a way that is fun and has a good people feel like there's a real community and a strength to it, and that people like Lennon are kind of genuinely I'm not gonna say harmless, but nowhere near as powerful as they think they are.
They are shitting themselves realizing that thousands of people are laughing at them for being utterly
Yeah.
stupid, and that
I mean,
doing
yes.
something about it.
Silver lining that this man is so comically just inept, you know,
Yeah.
just he's like,
yeah. Like, now he's tweeting at you on the stream, thinking, "Oh, this will
he is tweeting at
prove
me,
me right."
even though I did not.
Yeah.
I named him now. Yeah, he found. I don't know why he found my tweet, but he started tweeting at me.
Can I think
Probably,
of a take
again, it's
hard
probably
enough
'cause
that
I'm-
makes me the good guy?
It's probably because I'm verified. I will bet you
Yeah.
anything it's because I'm verified.
Yeah.
No, I blocked that idiot a long time ago. He's never gonna bother me.
Aw.
I just want to throw out one thing too, is like supporting like a direct cause like this is really, really cool, but like nothing compares to like supporting your local trans person. Like if you know somebody who's trans, be there for them, talk to them, help them, listen to them, like help them. I don't know. I don't mean platform over here, but like
No, go ahead, please.
seriously, like direct support is easily the best, and like monetary support rules, but like friends, hang out with them, like go places with them. Like you have no idea how important it is to like strengthen numbers and shit like that. Like that needs to happen. So 10,000 people, make trans friends,
Yeah.
help them.
You're probably already friends with a trans person, they just haven't told you
Yeah.
yet. So
Statistically, yeah.
So
I mean,
be
I
the
didn't
kind of
come out
person they
for,
feel like they
like,
could come
7
out
years
to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Come out
that's-
for like 7 years because I didn't feel safe, and like if someone would have made me feel safe, I don't know where I would be today. So I feel like be someone would feel safe around. Like do that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I think it's really good of you to highlight that, and I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Because
like,
we've raised a lot of money for one charity. It's easy for us to celebrate that and be happy about that. But there are a lot of people who do need help, and it's important that they get it, and we should foreground that. So thank you very much, May.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, don't just your support quota for your life isn't done if you gave money to this stream. If you go support some people who you know, be friends with them. You know, you can just make
Although it
friends
is
with
worth
trans people
noting-
and hang out. Like it's just a norm. You can just they're people. Did you know?
Right.
Yeah. With that in mind, don't be like a friend chaser.
Yeah, don't be like, I need to know.
Gotta check this box.
Yeah.
Haven't hit my
I've got my
monthly quota.
quota.
Oh,
Yeah,
no,
gotta hit my quota.
I've got a couple of notepads to burn full of my friend quotas.
Yeah. It's like I'm doing well with black.
I've got a checklist of all my trans friends.
Yeah. And a black trans, so I can knock two birds with one stone.
Oh,
God. Oh no, it's trending.
Oh, is it?
Oh my god.
We got it?
It's trending. Trans Graham is trending.
Thank you, Graham Linehan. We have to set a new goal. People are still donating.
Associated with trendsetters. This is amazing.
Grant Kirkhope says yes. I'll try and
Oh,
join
snap.
Hbomberguy later. I'm out of fam.
Wow. Yeah, when maybe he can go to sleep, and when he wakes up, we'll probably still be going. So. Nice.
Yeah, I think I'm here. I think I'm on. Am I on? Can you hear me?
You're on, yes.
Who may I ask is speaking? Who's this intruding into my Discord?
Grant Kirkhope. That's who I am. The old bloke.
Ah!
Oh.
Wow. You scored
Thank you
more
so
music.
much.
You basically wrote the soundtrack to a large portion of my childhood, both because I just played N64 collectathons as a kid, and because I had no taste as an adult. I didn't listen to real music. I just listened to game soundtracks. So thank you so
That's
much for
because
coming
I'm
on.
just an old person who's been around for such a long time that you were all kids when I first started. That's why.
Oh, it's amazing getting to meet you. This is the weirdest possible context in which to meet someone. $100,000 and 30 hours deep into a charity stream of a game they worked on.
It's spectacular. It's amazing. Have you played DK for the whole time?
I took a sleep for about 6 to 8 hours at one point, but no, otherwise it's not stopped.
It takes that long because all the collectibles, right?
There's so many. Yeah. Could you do my chat a tremendous favor, and could you say trans rights in DK's voice?
Say that again.
Trans rights in Donkey Kong's voice.
Well, the thing about the Donkey Kong's voice is like it is me, but it's pitched down.
Oh.
So it'd be something like Brand Right. I can't do it. Brand Rights. Okay.
And then it
So
would be
that-
turned down. It would be pitched
Is that
down.
close enough? Is that close enough?
That's excellent. Wow. Someone in chat pitch that down. Make a new clip.
Yeah. That can be like the most euphoric moment of your life.
I've literally never heard the phrase gender euphoria before. That's such a. Thank you for sharing that.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've never really realized that there was a good bit.
People are happy about their gender sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm teaching things now. I really am a left tuber. I'm teaching people things.
Yeah. I mean, this is all a learning experience for me. I know very little about it. I just know. I know that I need to be supportive of people.
The experience that we're also going through is learning how much a man can take before he finally just goes crazy.
Yeah, I'm learning things about myself too, but largely about trans issues. But no, I'm glad I finally got a bunch of people on to talk about this stuff.
Before
I
head
the,
off,
the
I
whole
just...
thing about when
Gender
you're
euphoria
first learning, when you're first learning about what being trans is, and it's just like, oh my god, everything is happening all at once. What is going on? And like you just sort of realize, holy shit, I can be a girl, and it just overwhelms you for a little while, and you're just like, wait, what do I do now? I have no idea what's happening.
Oh yeah, like it's funny because like I admitted it to myself, and then a day passed, and I realized I wasn't feeling as dysphoria anymore. I'm like, oh, I guess I'm not anymore. Oh well. And then 3 days passed, and I'm like, oh shit, it's back.
Casey was trying to say something.
Yeah.
Casey,
let,
what's that?
Sorry.
Let Casey escape.
I got a lovely little message from Kinley Mockery. So
what? Oh, what?
Oh my god, yes!
What?
Wow.
I love Kinley.
She was saying that she was watching the stream, was glad to hear my voice, and just donated. Thank you.
Wow.
Oh,
That's.
Oh,
lovely.
Maggie's
Wow.
here.
Heyo.
Hey.
Maggie Mayfish.
Wow, Maggie.
Hey.
Oh wow.
Oh, did
Maggie Mayfish produces a YouTube channel, and you also did something before that I forgot what it is. What was it? It was Cracked, right?
Oh, sorry. This is just. I mean,
she's not here. She's on.
Oh, Hbomb is so incoherent by this point. Yeah, basically, I'm trying to. Someone said a name, and I was like, I just addressed them as if they were here. Let's say hello to Alexandra Cancia-Cortez, who's right here. I think he worked for Cracked.com. That's not. I'm just talking nonsense now. But,
hi there. This is Susie. I just wanted to pop on and just say how incredible this is. Cannot believe it.
Yeah, me neither. Thank you for coming back on, Susie, at 4:30 a.m.
I'm just watching it both on Twitter and obviously online here, and it's just. I think this is the best thing I've ever seen. Honestly, just the best thing ever.
It's very encouraging, but I'm in a hell of my own making right now, and it's so that's very good to hear. But thank you for coming back on.
No, it's really. I just wanted to sort of pass on. I've had some messages from one of our mums said that her 7-year-old has been watching you and is.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah. and has now got a newfound love of Donkey Kong, but she's 7. She's a trans girl. She's seen some of the negative stuff that's out there, and she's so excited about watching you, and is a new devotee. So.
Wow. Well.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's incredible to hear.
Yeah, I mean, and one of our volunteers is also sort of staying up all night and watching you. And he said he just wanted to just say to you how amazing this all is, and so many people. And I've had a couple of families, private message me and say, volunteers. One of the mums, her son is watching. I don't know whether they're still watching now, but said they would absolutely love to be come along for pizza. And we might stand you a few beers as well. That'd be nice.
Well, I'd love that.
I'm gonna head back. I'm gonna head back off again now. But just to give you sort of like a little bit of an idea. I think this is the biggest thing the community has seen, and I think that there is likely to be sort of like TV interest in this tomorrow because it is trending on all channels.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah. So
I have the word Sobek written on my forehead.
I see that. Yes. Yes.
Oh, dear.
That's going to be the screenshot that they use on. and when they talk.
I wanted to thank you for all the important work that you're doing as well.
Thank you for coming on, and thank you for the work you do.
Oh no, thank you all. I mean, this for me, as it is for like all of my staff and the team of volunteers and for our trustees who sort of give us all their time for free. This is something that we do because it's the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do because everybody deserves to be themselves and to be free to be themselves without fear.
All those people were always there, and they were waiting for the opportunity, and I happen to have been the person who did it, but none of it is me. All these people were always there, and they're...
Yeah, but
and
you've given them a platform, and you've given... It's such a bizarre. Donkey Kong. Who thought Donkey Kong could make people donate to Mermaids?
Yeah, and I want to say thank you for the work you do and for just everything, and I hope you have a really good year.
Anyway, I am going to duck off now, and I'm going to try and get a few more hours sleep. And I know that probably is torturous for you to hear where you're sat right now. I apologise.
Yeah. I'll see you on the other side.
Yeah, see you on the other side. I'll pop back in again a little bit later on and say hello. But keep going. Get the critters down in that pit. Keep going, and I'll speak to you soon. Cheers. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Okay, you have to make them go perpendicular to the pit, which is... how disgusting is this? There's an obvious hole, and you have to do all of this shit. This is a metaphor for the trans discourse in Britain. You can lead a beaver to a hole, but you can't make it go in. You just can't make people listen.
Someone should mod this so you're chasing little glinners around.
So you've got to bark at you. Get in the hole, Graham.
Get in your hole, Graham.
Just heard a couple things. Somebody mentioned Terry Crews.
What?
I don't know if that means that Terry Crews is tweeting about this, but there's a lot of word about that.
Just in general?
Thing is, apparently Chelsea Manning has been invited.
Oh.
Met Chelsea Manning once.
Chelsea is here. Update, Chelsea is here.
What?
Here.
Chelsea Manning rules.
Chelsea Manning is here.
What? I looked away
Manning
for a
is here.
second and Chelsea Manning is in my Discord server. What is happening?
Holy fucking shit.
What is happening?
Shit. Oh my god.
There's a question I've been meaning to ask Chelsea for 3 years. Ever since I saw a play about what she did, and I need to ask her. Chelsea, do you know how to beat Beaver Bother?
Nailed it.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
It's
Chelsea?
It's wonderful to meet you. Would you like to introduce
hi.
yourself to the stream?
Oh yeah, sure. I'm Chelsea.
It's nice to meet you, Chelsea.
Chelsea.
Do you know how to beat Beaver
It's a
Bother?
little late here. Just to give you a heads up, it's like midnight.
Fair enough. How are things?
I'm good. I just I got enough people like pinged me about this thing, so I was like, okay, yeah, I'll do it.
Incredible.
I'll show up. So I guess it's like trending on Twitch. So
Yeah. How did that happen? How did any of this happen?
well, I mean, you know, like, your YouTube's pretty awesome, so.
Oh. I suspected maybe you'd seen my videos, but I could never really be sure, and now I know, and that's wonderful.
Oh yeah, well,
Thank you.
You and Natalie and Ollie, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Chelsea.
What's that?
My name's May. I just wanted to tell you that I really respect you, and you've done a lot.
Oh, cool.
That's all.
Thank
Oh,
you
yeah.
for being
Well, hugs.
you're an absolute inspiration.
Voice hugs.
Thank you for just being you. You're wonderful.
Aw, thanks. I try.
Yeah, you're really wonderful, and... Hello?
Hello.
Nice to meet you, Jorge the Dragon. Please, don't say anything rude. You're live in front of 11,000 people.
Yeah, I have your stream pulled up.
Wow.
Okay, so if you... So, try to avoid jumping most of the time.
Okay.
Herd them into sort of the shape that you see there.
Okay.
And once you have them at like a 60-degree angle, you want to mash B.
Okay. I shouldn't be pressing B while they're running around near the hole. I should just be pressing it to herd them in.
Well, like herd them close to the hole, and then once they're next to it, only do it when it's 60 degrees.
Okay. Well, we're down. We're getting closer.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, I'm gonna go back in the shadows, but I'm gonna keep watching. Good luck.
Thank you so
try
much.
not to jump as much. Try not to mash B. Press B only when it's necessary. You got this, I believe.
Thank you very much. I really, really appreciate everything you've said.
I'll still be here, so I'll be watching.
Okay.
There's
Harris
two
obviously
in
did
this
the first
castle.
one, then.
There's two of them.
All right, hey,
and they're in the
hey,
same order.
Mermaids.
Yeah.
This is Zach, the editor that was appearing in your chat stream earlier, and I have
Right.
2 tips for you that I don't think anyone else has said. So, you ready?
Yep.
Okay, first of all,
Hold on a
the
second.
beavers-
Hold on.
Oh, okay.
Hold on.
Oh God. Yeah.
Shit.
Yes.
Oh my god, it might happen. Oh my god.
The beavers were bothered.
I need a break. Yes.
Sorry, I interrupted one of you who seemed like they had something to say, but just
Okay, so it was, my tips are no longer necessary, so I just wanted to say, hey, this is Zach Ford. I write about LGBTQ politics over in the U.S. You're doing a great thing. Congrats on beating Beaver Bother, because it's the most amazing accomplishment that Twitch will see in some time.
Thank you. Yeah.
There was just a $3,000 donation.
What?
There you go.
From Whisk?
Boom.
$1,000?
Someone just went to the top of the donation box. Yeah.
So.
Whisk. Congratulations. Congrats on finally beating Beaver Bother. Despite doing what I can to support trans rights, I've struggled with subconscious transphobia, and it shames me. Hearing from so many trans people on your stream has been really helpful. Thank you. Thank you, Whisk. And,
No, thank you. Thank you, Whisk.
Amazing.
Everyone goes through that stage, including people who, a lot of people who eventually come out as trans go through a stage of not understanding it, and being honest and open about those feelings is really good of you, and especially to do it while giving, especially do it in the middle of a message in front of thousands of people. That's pretty bold. And plus, I mean, you just gave us $3,000. It's you know, it balances a little.
That's
the game you're playing.
Hey, Carta.
What? Hi, Chelsea.
How are you doing?
Oh my God, what's happening?
I
Nice to hear
heard
you.
that you got back on, or that you got on, so I just wanted to let some folk. I just wanted to say some things about Carta real fast.
Oh my God.
So Carta is an incredible human being who actually got me through some of the worst parts of the last 2 years of my life. She really, in some really intense, really emotional moments, really helped me through some dark times. And, I don't know how I would have got through the last year if it wasn't for Carta. Carta, I love you so much, Carta, and thank you so much for really saving my life last year. That meant a lot.
Oh my God.
It's the cry stream now. No.
I know, but Carta, you really did, you literally saved my life. So it's pretty incredible.
Oh my God.
I love you so much.
I love you
And
so much.
I wanted to give you a shout out because you really helped me, and I love your artwork so much. And I'm a huge stan and a huge fangirl of Carta. You should really check out her comics because they're she's easily one of my favorite trans artists of all time.
For several years when I was questioning and going through a lot of my own problems,
you were somebody who just like your existence and the fact that you were still alive and still pushing through helped me to keep pushing through. So thank you so much for being around, for being here.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, Carter did the same for me in many ways. So, you know, it's a circle. It's like what trans community like really leans on and depends on each other, and it doesn't matter how, you know, like who you are or like how far away you are or anything like that. Like we're always here for each other, and it's been, you know, it's like the trans community is like the trans fan. It's like a trans fan. It's like a gigantic trans fan. It's just been blown away by how, you know,
Sorry, that
like,
tongue got to me.
how deep this has been. So anyway, like I just wanted to give a shout out to Carta and, you know, like let her have her little moment too, you know.
Fascinating is if Hbomb isn't back,
Sorry,
how did he get
everyone.
back in the
I
chat?
was taking a sleep.
Hello.
Hello. Guys, too many. We've got too many people.
Why is that number so high? I dropped out of the Discord like 2 hours ago. Why are people giving what are you doing?
They really love this.
What?
We love you, Harris.
And
Oh, yeah, it's
apparently
coming up,
we might have Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez joining, according to someone in the chat. Or not someone in the chat, but someone in the Discord.
You're joking. That's not real. That's not true. You made that up.
No. Chelsea was going to try and get Ocasio-Cortez in the chat, and now she's asking.
Is Casey a wizard?
She's a promoting genius.
How much is left? It's been 48 hours. There can't possibly be that much left. There is
8,000 people were watching the silence.
There is 4% more than I hoped there would be, and I'm not happy about this.
Ellen Murray from Transgender NI, here to talk about some trans stuff.
Oh my
Hello.
goodness.
Introduce yourself.
Good evening. Yes, I was in the chat since it went silent, so I've been stroking my cat since then. My name's Ellen Murray. I'm a trans activist from Northern Ireland. I also do some stuff on disability rights, and I'm sitting here from Belfast in Northern Ireland. I think the most interesting thing that's happened today has been my cat's Twitter notifications are full of TERFs right now. It's very odd.
So, Ellen, could you tell us a little bit about what Transgender NI does?
Yeah, so we're actually a relatively new organisation, but the folks who've been doing the work have been around for quite a while. I've been involved in trans rights stuff for about 6 years now, full time. I came out as trans in 2013. 2013 was a bad year, but they've got better since then. And a lot's happened, but the long story short is we run a trans community centre in Belfast. It's about 2 miles from where I am at the moment. So we provide a space and resources and stuff for trans young people, trans adults, family members. We don't have a lot of the same sort of TERF nonsense on the island of Ireland. In GB in England, Scotland and Wales, we're lucky in that way. Feminism and women's rights here it takes more of a post-colonial stance and organises in different ways. So there's been a few reasons why we haven't had that over here.
But it's the thing you say about post-colonial stances is interesting because I think in the US and the UK especially, the brand of feminism that's become the most mainstream is kind of that of the ruling class, effectively. Like, it's not kept in mind that, you know, there was a system that caused a lot of this stuff. It's just kind of gone. It's the same, but, you know, moderately more further forward, and it's not really very much.
More women prison guard.
Yeah, like literally that.
Yeah, feminism here can be really, really wonderful. It tends to be really sex worker inclusive on the whole. It tends to be really trans inclusive on the whole. You get invited to be involved with everything. Yeah, it's just really, it's such a difference to the things that we see folks in, especially in England, having to go through at the moment. It's so damaging. It's so damaging, and you see the folks, like my colleagues who work in England, especially, who are, I don't know how they deal with it. The fallout every single day, Twitter, public media, in the newspapers especially, they've very thick skins.
Yeah.
You're doing very good at this, by the way. I'm very impressive.
Thank you. I'm almost surpassing that of a child.
I've been trying to beat Crash Team Racing all day, so doing better than that.
Which one? The old PlayStation one?
Yeah. I don't have the hardware, unfortunately.
I remember that game being really cool.
Hello, my name's Michelle O'Toole. I'm a journalist, done some work for Pink News and New Statesman and other places. I currently do a podcast called What the Trans. You can check out wherever you get your podcasts. That's the nepotism done. Yeah, I'm pretty much here just to talk about like some benefits issues that disproportionately face trans people. If you let me, I don't know what I'm doing here. This is a very, very surreal experience. Hello, Chelsea Manning.
Hey, what's up?
Hi, very nice to meet you. I've been researching you for about 2 weeks because I was going to do like a special on like your life and stuff. So it's very surreal to actually have a chance to talk to you.
Oh yeah, I'm not here for interviews though. Just be aware.
I mean, I've got like some trans friends who aren't really into gaming or had no idea what Twitch was, who are currently now watching. Like, that's how big of a thing it is. Like, they don't understand what Donkey Kong 64 is. They don't understand how any of this works, but they're here somewhere.
I've recently realized
That's what
Twitch
Magnetic
is...
Warfare is.
Yeah, it's
We're in the meme wars.
It's for a certain generation. It's not necessarily something that everyone understands. But having been streaming on Twitch non-stop for a while, I've become very intimately aware of it. But it's Why are 13,000 people watching this? Oh jeez. Oh no.
So I was going to ask what the trans podcast is, wanted to talk about how benefits are disproportionately hurting trans people in the UK.
Right there, this is my pet issue. I just did a whole episode on it.
Right.
Basically, it sort of started when I was working as a journalist, and Daniel Blake came out and all that stuff, And then I had to go through it like twice, and it was the actual assessments themselves. Like, for people that don't know, if you claim benefits in the UK for disabilities and what have you, you have to go through this horrific test. It's called the Work Capability Assessment Test, and it is particularly bad for like anyone, like cis, trans, whatever. But as a transgender woman, it was uniquely challenging because they don't really have any questions on the forms for like, why do you have depression? Why do you have anxiety? And you get to explain, oh, it's because I came out as trans and things were a bit of a nightmare for a while or whatever. You don't really get a chance to explain that. It's basically all points. You've got to score a certain amount of points to get the benefits. But yada, yada, yada. The long story cut short, it's a horrific process that is more disproportionately likely to affect trans people by a long way, because trans people on a whole are more likely to be mentally disabled. Not because they are trans, but because of the things that get thrown at trans people in life. Like, something like in a recent report, there were 7 out of 10 trans people reported that they suffer depression and stuff like that. And with the NHS not getting enough money, it's a whole massive clusterfuck that is sort of laying out like a whole generation of trans people. And they're not getting the help they need.
Yeah.
So I guess I wanted to come on here just to say, like, to people, like, if this has happened to you, or this is going to happen to you, or someone who's had it happen to you, there's a few things you can do. You can write to your MP, go scream at your MP. I know they're all busy doing Brexit bollocks, but you are still their constituents, so you've got to listen to what you say. You can go check out Mind. They were pretty good to me. Citizen Advice Bureau, they really helped me a lot with filling in the forms and stuff. Like, you get this ridiculous 50-page form. It's a nightmare. Like, I personally myself suffer from an anxiety disorder that meant that bureaucracy was not necessary. Bureaucracy that had my ability to pay rent on the line wasn't exactly what I needed to do. If you know what I mean, it's a bit of a weird one. So yeah, you can also reach out to your community if this is something that's going to happen to you. Because yeah, people are out there. People in the community help. I actually emailed Ollie from Philosophy Tube in the middle of the night, just like, Ollie, this is happening. You got any book recommendations? I don't know what I was thinking, and he emailed me back with a few books and stuff, and he was really nice. But yeah, reach out to people if this is going to happen to you. And yeah, it's a really big issue that's facing the trans community, and it's not necessarily getting talked about because, you know, fucknuts like that Dick Biscuit Graham Linehan's taking away all of like all the attention.
Yeah, so much attention is paid to just keeping up with the latest thing that he said, because that is damaging enough because he commands a very large audience that will do what he says. That it kind of does get in the way of the bit where something has to actually be done in a wider way.
We have Owl here, so would you like to introduce?
Hello, sure. Can everybody hear me?
We can hear you okay.
Perfect. Hi, I'm Owl. I am a non-binary activist from Iceland, but I'm living in the UK now, and I co-run the film project My Generation. And I am also a big supporter of Mermaids, and really happy to be here and see this stream happening. I think it's really, 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 really cool.
And I don't think we've had many non-binary people on, so this is excellent to have somebody non-binary to talk.
Cool. It's really nice.
Is there anything you'd like to tell people?
Sure. I mean, I can just talk about, I guess not everybody's familiar with what non-binary is, and for me, it sort of means living outside these sort of traditional boxes of what it is to be a man and a woman. And I think for a lot of people, that seems quite off, and that seems quite strange, because we live in such a binary society where everybody, you know, has to be a man or a woman. So when somebody says, actually, I'm not, people get quite uncomfortable. And I think there's a lot of misconceptions about what it is to be non-binary, and I've seen that a lot on these sort of forums and chats where people are a bit confused as to what non-binary means, and they think it means just denouncing stereotypes and not wanting to be, you know, a stereotypical woman or a stereotypical man. But it's about something much more deeper than that. And I think for non-binary people, it's a gender identity in itself, just as being a man or a woman. And you know, a lot of people have a hard time grasping it, and it's difficult for many people to understand. But I think in the end, we can only speak from our own experiences. And I think you don't necessarily have to understand or realize what it's like. It's just an experience that people have individually, and you can't really know what anyone else feels like. You can only know what you feel like. And I think people need to sort of let go of this idea that you can relate to someone 100%, and if you can't, then it's not real.
Yeah.
And it's just, yeah, and it always strikes me how bothered people are about something that doesn't affect them in any possible way.
Yeah.
Because the only thing, you know, people being themselves, as long as they're not harming anyone else, it shouldn't matter, and it shouldn't be a matter of anyone's opinion. Because everybody's like, well, you know, it's my opinion that you're a man or you're a woman. Well, nobody cares about your opinion, really, because it's not an opinion.
I remember, like, this was when I was quite young. The first time I ever got drunk, I think I would have been like 14, 15. I asked my one lesbian friend what it was like to be gay, because I hadn't come to terms with my own stuff then. And she said, I don't know. What's it like to be straight? And I went, oh. I needed that. And that was like a big experience that affected how I think about this. I was like, oh, of course, because there's aspects of my experience no one else is ever going to get either. And as I get older and more weird, as all people inevitably do, the gap's only going to widen. And the only solution to that is to be like, understanding that that's okay. And people are gonna be very different.
There's a lot of Islamic queer history, but a lot of it got erased due to colonialism and due to those Western conceptions of gender and proper ways to express yourself.
Introduce yourself, Riley.
Hi, hello. I'm Riley Janice. I make videos on YouTube about
a bunch of stuff: politics, feminism, sometimes trans stuff. Like I do a series where I play Fortnite and talk about the news. Yeah, all sorts of things.
You also piss off the bad people quite often.
Yeah.
I love the pissing off of the bad people.
That does happen quite a lot.
I mean, I remember a few weeks ago, or might even be months ago, like you put out that Marine tweet.
Oh my god, I've not stopped hearing from Marines since then.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just a braver than the Marines joke. It was
I'll just be one sec.
It was when the Captain hearings were going on, and I said that Dr. Christine Blasey Ford was braver than any U.S. Marine, and then for like weeks I just got like death threats and stuff from Marines, and I was like, ah, yes, you are really convincing me that you are good people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I will threaten you to show you how great I am.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
Yeah, Riley, I just want to tell you like how, you know, you're an incredible person, and I've been watching you for this whole time, and you just sparkle like every single time that you're, you know, attacked or harassed, and you face up to it, and you just never stop, you know, gleaming with your positivity, and it's been very inspiring for me.
I wish I had your contribution.
Thank you so much.
Hi. I genuinely expected this to make $10,000 when I first heard of it, but oh my god.
Well, it's just so heartwarming. I mean, like, I think we've all struggled in this life, and just to know that there's that many people out there fully in support of everything, it's so nice.
And to use a platform, you know, like this that has been, you know, especially in the post Gamergate era, it's just you know, it's really powerful to like use the platform for good.
People can do good things. Not all people who play video games have to be raging misogynists.
No.
So for a very long time, there's a spot here where you rise up above the ground for unknown reasons, and it's because someone put a rainbow coin here.
Oh right, that's the hit. Nobody found it for years, right?
Yeah. This is the 977th coin in the game, and no one knew it existed for 20 years. It was found by Isotarge in the game's code. Real trooper.
I have a question for you guys if you wanted to, like, a thing that's on my mind is I like to think about like stuff that you think, like media that you enjoyed as a kid. Maybe not Donkey Kong 64, but maybe, who knows? Like media you enjoyed as a kid that you reflect back on and you realize like spoke to you as a trans person. If any of the trans people in the chat feel strongly about that.
Oh, that's a great question. Yeah.
Mine was Rainbow Bright. That was my jam.
Final Fantasy VII, especially whenever Cloud gets into the changes and wears the women's clothes.
I've heard that a couple times now. Yeah.
I would linger.
Oh, sorry.
When my sister was watching cartoons, women's cartoons, like girls' cartoons, I would linger a bit too long, and I realized why.
As a cis man, I found the media that spoke to me most when I was a kid was all of it, and
it was the best. You know what the best part of media is? It's all for me. Yeah,
it's all for me.
Every banana in Donkey Kong.
But it's really interesting to me to hear those things that spoke to people that I wouldn't have even thought of in those stories that I read as a kid.
What Jacob said about sort of transness turning out to be there instead of a general sort of misanthropia or dislike of life or whatever, that comes up a whole lot where that's the thing I've seen said a lot is just people discover the actual thing is that they're trans, almost as if it's real, you know. One of my best friends was a very depressive person until, like, one day they figured it out. And, like, I don't know. That's the thing that annoys me is when people say, well, how do you know you're trans and not, it's not just something else? And the only answer I can give as a cis person is they do seem to know. It is pretty clear, it seems. Yeah, that's all I can really say about it. I'm not.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely.
I don't know what I'm doing. I'm literally finding my way through, and I don't even know what Discord is, but I do know, so it's great.
Welcome to Discord.
I take it you can hear me all right, because I can't hear myself back.
If you could turn yourself up very slightly, that would be ideal.
How's that? Is that better?
That's great. Yeah.
Good. Okay. It's going through a professional system here, so.
You do sound good.
Thank you. Good. Yeah, I just thought I'd come on and say what an incredible thing you're doing for Mermaids and actually for the community as a whole, because my goodness, it's an incredibly uniting point for everyone, and just being in the actual chat on Twitch there, just watching everyone go, it's like I can't keep up with the chat. There's so many people.
Well, I try. You know, I was a big fan of the IT crowd a long time ago, and I was very disappointed in that one episode, and it went downhill from there so quickly. And
yeah, and he seems to be getting worse as well. He seems to be getting worse, and it's like, as you say, downhill. I think is the best way to.
Yeah, the less of a career he has, the less of a career he has to lose. So it's just.
It's incredible. It's almost suicidal. What's he doing?
Yeah.
You know.
I just
go write comedy. Well, he said it many times. He believes that he's standing up for the rights of women who are perfectly capable of standing up for themselves, incidentally. But the sheer notion that he is somehow the rider on the white steed who's going to come to the rescue of all the silenced women of the world, and bring order and peace upon the land is quite beyond me, and because all he's doing is making a laughing stock of himself, and the thing is, people will never forget what he's doing now. This is something that will follow him probably for the rest of his life, and I feel a bit sorry for him.
What's going on?
No, keep talking. I'm just arranging.
Okay.
Arranging something special.
So for everyone else who doesn't maybe know what I do, I'm an actress on Hollyoaks, which is a British television soap, and what we do is we have a lot of LGBT storylines, LGBT plus storylines especially as well. It's probably the most friendly soap on television, and it's also aimed primarily at the 16 to 25 age bracket. And I play Sally, a trans woman who is the headmistress of the school, and I've been in it now for 3.5 years. And in that time, I've become a patron of a few organisations, including Mermaids, myself along with Jake Graff and Hannah Winterbourne. We do pretty much everything we can for Mermaids because it's something we really, really believe in. I'm quite old. I'm in my 50s now, believe it or not. But I transitioned when I was in my early 20s. So I'm like a long in the tooth one. Wow. And now trying to give back, to try and help the younger generation not to have to go through what I went through. So when I saw this on my timeline, that this incredible thing was happening, I was so impressed with what you were doing, because they're such a small organisation and they need every single penny. And this will make a massive difference to what they're doing, especially considering that poor Susie, the CEO, is having to deal with the most incredible onslaught from the likes of Mr. Lenihan and his acolytes.
And all of Mumsnet and all of his Twitter followers. Yeah, it's intense. But best case scenario, we raise all this money and they get the lottery.
Like I said, when I started it on Hollyoaks in 2015, I wrote an article for Gay Times saying, hey, isn't the world much better for trans people? And then a year later, we were like the demons of the world, thanks to largely the mainstream media.
Yeah.
They moved on to that. So we have this issue of the GRE Act and the consultation thereof. And what you're saying there about reading things, they put up this thing on their websites going, oh, here you go, you can fill in this form. And we've done all the work for you. So the people in the consultation are going to have boxes of responses which are absolutely identical. And they'll take them and they'll go, well, this is obviously just it's a form of a form letter. We'll just chuck that out.
Yeah.
They can't win by doing that. They have to provide a reasonable explanation or a reasonable argument, and that's what they can't do because it's based on mallogic.
Yeah.
And we're just fighting against, I think, public opinion at the moment, trying to stop the nonsense getting out there.
Yeah, I've looked into, I do obviously look into this stuff before I decide to do a thing for the charity, and like, it's all not just baseless, but the thing that really got to me was on purpose baseless. It was they were looking for anything where they could go, aha, yeah.
It's very common in basically any field where somebody wants to bring somebody else down, to bring themselves up, to just latch on to a tiny inconsistency or error on the part of a group, and then you report on that part of it honestly and factually, and then you editorialize on top of that.
Yeah,
and you don't make a differentiation between the editorialism. I'm not gonna name any specific names because I don't want to start any controversies, but I've seen a couple times this year in the YouTube space and the anime space, people taking something that's like well-meaning with mistakes around it and saying this is a scam. They're trying to do all this evil stuff, and they're trying to trick you to raise up people's anger so that they don't think.
Yeah. So there was one like Mermaids were trying to help a child who unrelatedly was also part of a custody battle, and then they each parent had a different set of beliefs about the kid's transness, and then when the custody battle was resolved in favor of the father instead of the mother, all of a sudden Mermaids is like it's Mermaids' fault, and they were trying to steal the child, like just made up nonsense.
I know a fair bit about that case, and obviously there's a certain amount that can be said and can't be said, but the judge has been absolutely pilloried over the things that he was saying, particularly in connection with Mermaids and what the mother was trying to do. And but at the bottom line, there is a child now that is living with a transphobic parent. It's a trans child who is currently being forced to be not the gender that they know they are, and that's abuse in itself. But we can't do anything about it because the judge made a rule, and that situation is now in aspect. We can't change that, and that's the
just
frustration.
Wait and see what happens to that poor child. That's horrific.
I worry.
Yeah, I mean, it's someone has said this before. Graham Linehan would rather that trans people, or that children commit suicide than grow up trans, and I didn't want to believe it was that straightforward when I read it, but it basically is, and it.
Well, no, he just doesn't believe it.
He doesn't believe they are trans, basically. Yeah.
He doesn't believe the statistics because people have told him the statistics are wrong, and he believes them rather than trans people. But the statistics are there by several accounts, by Stonewall, by Mermaids themselves, by various other studies about the very great danger to young people. And at the moment, there is only Mermaids out there. And even the Tavistock Clinic, Tavistock and Portman in London, who is supposed to be the only treatment centre for trans youth, they have got people on their staff list who are letting books into the library saying that, maybe trans is wrong and things like this. So what they're doing is they're not just allowing the child to find themselves, they're actually actively dissuading them from being trans, and that's a form of conversion therapy. So you've got the one clinic that's supposed to help the kids, and what they're doing is the opposite. And again, the powerlessness is the most frustrating thing. So you have Mermaids, and it's the only organisation in this country who are determined to help children and their families come to a mutually counselled agreement about how to go forward.
Yeah, we had Susie on earlier telling a really good story, and I think everyone who was on the stream at that point was fighting not to cry, especially me, because I was playing Beaver Bother, which is the hardest part of this game. You have to scare some animals into a hole.
Oh, great.
I imagined they were Graham Linehan, and that made it easier, but it was... Susie's doing a wonderful and difficult job, and... I really hope that they can do some good.
She was doing a difficult job when she took it on, when it was looking after kids and fundraising and that. Now what she's doing is she's firefighting all the time. She's having to put up with and defend her own daughter and her own treatment of her daughter and everything like that. Everything that's in the media about it gets twisted. So she's having to do all that on top of everything else. I'm quite stunned at the courage and the strength of this woman. And knowing her as I do, I really hope that she's getting as much help as she needs, as much as anything else.
I bet it's a lot to go through.
Hey,
Yeah.
sorry, can I just stop everybody for a moment?
Go ahead.
I have somebody very special who joined us to give some words. I'm not sure is his microphone working right now, but John, can you?
Okay, can you hear me?
Hello.
Yes, we can.
Oh,
Hi, John.
Please introduce yourself.
Hello.
Hail Sobek.
Thank you so much.
Who's?
Yeah, this is John Romero.
Wow.
Just wanted to say hi.
Hello, John Romero.
So impressed that you're here, John. I'm a big fan of most of what ID did.
I just want to say, trans rights.
Yeah!
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Fucking A.
Excellent.
Do it.
Excellent.
We did it. But now we can stop the stream.
200.
Oh wow,
That's
200.
amazing. This happened.
Oh wow!
Thank you, John.
Well
Leah,
done. Well done.
You saved the day.
LHEA was the.
Wow.
That's worth noting. Holy crap!
Congratulations.
Got him.
Thank you so
That's
much,
great.
John. Wow.
This is one of the most positive evenings I've had. But listen, I'm going to head off because got to get to bed. Got to work tomorrow.
Oh,
Thank
yeah.
you so much for letting me in.
Thanks for having me on. I'm glad I could help out.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get back to work and good luck.
Have an excellent
Take
day,
care, John.
evening, whatever it is. Cheers.
Nice meeting you as well.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
And I want to give a big shout out to Brenda Romero as well for making this happen.
Nice. Thank you so much. Wow.
Thank you.
I need a minute.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I like.
I've just been informed that
Deep in the
our
anime
stream
hole.
has been retweeted by Cher.
Yeah, I saw that. Well, she
What?
has a trans son, you know.
Yeah. Well,
Jazz Bono is trans.
Graham, just a personal message from me to you. Please try to destroy more charities. Only good appears to come of it. So, thanks, Graham, and fuck you.
Do you think he ever would have foreseen it being getting dunked on by John Romero?
The creator of Doom, one of his favorite games, came on stream to yell trans rights.
That's something, isn't it?
Hello.
The cat bit me.
What did you? Wait,
Is
no,
that
that's
the
turned
first
on. That's
cat
turned
bite
on.
stream.
Yeah, that's on.
Yeah. Hello.
Hello.
How's it going?
It's alright. I'm Elodie Cunningham. I am a trans. Hello.
Hello. Welcome.
I do YouTube and stuff, and I kind of wanted to come on mostly because I wanted to say thank you to Mermaids, because when I was 18, they kind of saved me from killing myself. So, like,
wow.
When I phoned them up when I was in a really bad time when I was in university, and I just hours and hours just on the line with one single person, and they just were absolutely amazing. And I went back to it a few times, and it just absolutely saved my life. So I just really wanted to say a massive thank you to them, and also thank you to you guys and the whole stream and everything, because this has been amazing.
Oh, I just want to give you a big fucking hug right now.
It means a lot that you came on. God. This whole stream has been a lot.
He's got AOC to tweet, y'all, so.
Who, sorry?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
AOC tweeted about the
Yeah.
stream?
Yeah.
What? I should probably cover my armpits.
Sorry, before you go, I just wanted to say it.
Thank you for coming on and hanging out for a while,
you,
and thanks for
sharing the
chatting. It's been great. Alexandria has retweeted. Oh my god.
Oh my god!
Yeah, she.
Okay, so
yeah.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has joined the Discord server.
What?
Oh my!
No, this is a trick. This is a trick. They're not real. It can't. No.
I'm back, by the way. I've returned.
It's got. She's got the official posing in front of the flag, posing in front of a background like official photo shoot picture.
Oh. Oh my!
How's it been going, Dan?
It's been going all right. We've been working hard behind the scenes to keep things running as smoothly as possible, given how this has escalated and ballooned just beyond our wildest dreams so quickly.
When you offered to help with the stream, you had not accounted for it absolutely exploding. But you've done. You and Casey have done so much work for this without people seeing, and I'm gonna be. I owe you a lot of ones. What's this?
Oh, there we go. There we go.
Hello?
Hi.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, I'm well. How are you all?
It's hello. It's fantastic to meet you. Would you like to introduce yourself in case some people don't know who you are?
Oh, of course, everyone. My name is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. I am the Congresswoman for New York's 14th Congressional District.
Thank you so much
It's
for
a pleasure to
joining
meet
us
you.
today.
It's a
Likewise.
pleasure to meet you.
Likewise. Thank you to Chelsea for giving me the heads up and inviting me.
Oh
Yeah,
gosh.
Yeah.
I committed
Yeah,
so
these
much
are-
voter
these are
fraud
some
for
of my
you.
friends.
I'm sorry.
Pardon?
Nothing.
These are some of my friends.
It's amazing. It's wow. How is it going over there? The government is like shut down. Longest shutdown
government-
in history.
The government is currently shut down. It's the longest shutdown in American history. Our TSA airport workers are not getting paid. Our FDA food inspectors are not getting paid. We have folks showing up to NASA that are not paid, and they're showing up for free just to keep, basic vital systems to keep our astronauts alive, continuing. And so it's kind of a mess right now. And we're doing everything that we can.
Well, keep fighting. I think what you're doing is phenomenal, and I'm glad that the Democrats haven't caved, because it's a big thing to cave on, and it's good.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's an
Thank
issue
you.
because regardless of whether it's for a wall or for anything else, the whole point is that if we caved on this, no matter what the request was, then we're basically legitimizing the tactic of holding people's paychecks hostage. And
Then they
so-
can do it again whenever they want. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
For any agenda point.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not only that. It's not only that, but now kids are yelling, build a wall to indigenous people, and clear that it's just this whole wall notion is just a symbol for something else.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's absolutely right.
It's a gigantic monument to white supremacy, effectively.
Exactly.
Exactly. And it's just, I applaud you all for the organizing that you're doing, because the best way that we fight against tactics like that is not just resistance, but by actively supporting and advancing the communities that need advocacy the most. So I really appreciate you and everyone who's joining you today.
Could I get you to say trans rights?
Pardon me?
Yes, could I get you to say trans rights, please? I know there's a lot of
Oh,
people in the
of
chat
course.
who would love to hear it.
Trans rights. Absolutely. It's a no-brainer. Trans rights are civil rights, are human rights.
Thank you so much for saying that.
Thank you so
Of
much.
course.
And I've actually got a question to kind of bounce off of that.
Sure.
So you have done an absolutely stellar job over the last just few weeks, barely a month, taking the 70% tax rate and turning it from an abstract concept into a specific policy that the public understands and supports.
Yeah.
Is there anything on the docket in terms of trans policy, making use of that same momentum to help the public understand actionable policy goals for trans rights?
Mm-hmm. I think that's an excellent question. It's an interesting one as well, because when we're talking about actually just fighting for equal protection, it's not as though we're trying to advance a specific policy as much as it is we're trying. It's more of, I feel like a lot of the times it's the war that we're having is a cultural one, much more than just than a marginal tax rate is. So what we really need to do and show, I think, which I think we're starting to do, is have this conversation a lot more in our culture. And so, for so long, I would say that Democrats in the United States have operated from a defensive place for a very, very long time. And what we're doing is just kind of going on the offensive. Like I just tweeted today that in the United States, we wouldn't have to talk about bathrooms at all if everyone just washed their hands and minded their own business.
Amazing. What an idea.
And so I think that a lot of what we need to do is put things into perspective, but also continue to reassert that equal rights means equal rights. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what you're wearing. It doesn't matter how you identify. And, in terms of legislation, we can legislate protections or legislate, and this was actually a question that we've had recently, not just specifically to the trans community, but there was legislation that a Democrat was trying to propose that was essentially a protection for our immigrant community. And, but it was a constitutional protection, I believe. And so we actually didn't co-sponsor it, and we actually pushed back on it, because introducing legislation that pretty much already reasserts what's in the Constitution makes it feel like it's up for debate. Like if they voted if they voted if they voted down the law, it would almost make the constitutional guarantee seem less valid.
Yeah.
And so we actually pushed back against it, even though that it may seem kind of like a twisted logic or counterintuitive of sorts. But we actually pushed back against it because we said we don't want to have a debate about what is already settled.
Once you put that stuff up for discussion, that's bad. Yeah.
Exactly. And so really what I think we have to reassert is that when we say that equal rights for all, we mean equal rights for all, no asterisks, exceptions, fine print, nothing.
I need to ask, do you know how to turn on the power in Frantic Factory in Donkey Kong 64? Because I've been here for hours and I don't know how to do it.
Do not. I'm
Okay.
sorry. Donkey Kong 64 is outside of my wheelhouse.
Well, that's okay. Your wheelhouse is really, really good. I just, you've lost my vote. No, this is fantastic. Please continue.
I never owned an N64, though I do think it's probably the best system out of all of them. I never owned an N64, but I used to go to my cousin's house all the time, and she had Super Mario 64, Pokemon Snap, and probably a handful of other things.
Yes!
And that's probably all I know how to play.
Pokemon Snap was fantastic.
I just want to say that, like, one of the biggest things that I find with the trans community, like, for me personally, is like the biggest issues that we face are housing and healthcare.
Yep.
And those are not just trans specific issues. Those are everybody.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The trans community isn't uniting behind single issue things that only affect them. It's a single issue thing that affects absolutely everyone.
Yeah, that's right. And that's when we have these conversations about intersectionality that are so important, because the trans community does face a crisis when it comes to housing and healthcare, like most people, especially most Americans do, except when you have the added layer of discrimination, it makes these issues much more acute in their crises than they usually are on average for other people. And so it's important that we do talk about these issues in the economic frame, but not let go of the fact that that discrimination is a core reason for the economic hardship.
Well said.
Well, that said, I'm sorry I'm here so quickly, but I just wanted to pop in and say hello. I do need to head out.
Well, chat is losing their minds. Thank you so much for stopping by.
Of course.
Has made it a phenomenal weekend for many people.
So much.
Oh, I'm so glad. Thank you for doing this work. I really appreciate it. Everyone appreciates it.
No, thank you for doing your work, and
thank you. All right, have a great
may
day.
I just say
I'll
that
see you on TV.
I've been a bit quiet now, but Alexandria, you are giving a lot of people a lot of hope right now.
Thank you.
And I really don't have anything to ask, but I just wanted to say that. And I'm kind of shaking right now.
Oh, no reason to shake.
Thank you.
Thank you so very much, and I'm so happy that that the movement isn't all just about one person either. It's that we can have these spontaneous, joyous, and supportive moments, and any one of us can be responsible and be the source of it. So thank you all so much, and have an amazing day.
You too.
Woo!
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Trans rights.
That's right, trans rights.
There's 26,000 people here right now, and my voice is cracked for the first time in 13 years. Wow. That was incredible. And not to downplay Alexandria's work, but I look forward to there being 100 more people like her in Congress in the next decade, because we need them, and there should be more. And it's awesome. It's awesome having her, and yeah. So here's to more of them.
Cheers.
Hell yeah.
And thanks, Dan, for all the amazing work you've done, completely pro bono, actually figuring out the logistics of making this work. I would be sitting in front of a broken box by now, were it not for your help.
I'm Kieran Oshin, and
I'm Master Johnson.
And we're basically sharing the same mic because we're housemates, and we're both trans. So, yeah, no. This is meaning a hell of a lot. I love the fact that this is like getting money for a charity that really deserves it. Graham Linham had no right to involve himself, and but I was listening to Nick Spheres last night saying about like how if people don't want to solely give their money to like a huge charity and not know where it's going and give it to individuals, I've got a pretty important fundraiser going on right now, and it's basically to get my first wheelchair. Back in June, I was diagnosed with endometriosis. It left me with a surgery that basically sent me into a state of consistently deteriorating health, to the point where it is honestly getting to the point where I am needing a wheelchair. And honestly, any and all support, even just sharing, retweeting, anything helps. It would mean the absolute world. Right now, I'm currently sitting at, let's see, 679 quid, but it's a long way to go to get to the goal. If I had any excess money at all, I'm planning on splitting it between Mermaids, the Belfast Trans Resource Centre, and Over the Rainbow in Bournemouth, because they are LGBT charities that are entirely deserving of so much more money. They're giving so many people, many people like support. Honestly, Gender Gemma and I and the Trans Resource Centre saved my life when I was 17. I was in a really bad state. They helped me get my first binder, and honestly, giving back to them would be wonderful. So yeah, no, if I'd finally be able to actually go back to uni constantly and consistently. I've been having to miss lectures. I've been bedridden. I've been getting pseudo seizures. I've been getting uterus flesh shedding from me. It is just hell after hell after hell. And any support is like it's so appreciated, because it is a constant cycle when you're disabled trans of doctors just not listening and getting disregarded. And
hang on, okay, so So you know how I said that fundraiser that we've got for Kieran's wheelchair was £730?
Yeah.
So we just refreshed, and it's £1,000 over its goal of 4,500.
Oh my god!
All right,
Like,
we need a new
thousands
charity.
of people.
What the fuck?
Oh my god! Yes!
Yes!
Oh, holy shit!
Hey, Harris, I think
Susie is here.
Mermaid.
Yeah,
Hi,
hi
Susie.
everybody.
Hi.
I'm just sat in the background listening. I'm just astounded at sort of what I've just been hearing in sort of the past couple of hours, and the fact that Cher actually retweeted our post
It's a pleasure
from
to have you here.
earlier. It's great to be back here, and
I'm constantly trying to suppress a scream of anger at the
Yeah.
game, but it's lovely having you here.
Thanks very much. Oh, you're doing so well, though. I kept looking at the picture of the skeleton earlier and wondering if that really was you. And we'd actually managed to kill you off.
We're running out of
but-
we're running out of food in the house, so it's it'll we'll get there.
Yeah, this is just incredible. Just seeing all the support, and oh my god, AOC and Cher, and this is gaining such a huge amount of traction. Did you even consider that this might happen?
No, never. I like basically thought it'll be funny to do a charity thing, because then maybe if I raise $300, I can write off one of my many personal failings. And then somehow it emerged that actually charity exists for other people to use and give money to, and now this is all happening. I couldn't have imagined it, and yeah, and I think it's a good sign because everyone who's donated, everyone who's been so supportive and kind, those people aren't actually going anywhere. When this stream eventually does end, which it might, they'll still be here and they'll still care.
Yeah.
And I think that's the lesson, and I try not to think of that while I'm streaming because I want to not cry too often on the stream. But it's a lot.
Yeah, and I think as well as that, for all of our families and our kids, our kids who are struggling with gender dysphoria, who feel that they're not included or part of the world, and they're not valid, and they're not real. This for them is huge, to see so many people saying, no, you have a right to be, and you have a right to be, and we support you. This is just massive. I think this is like something that will go down in history. There must be a record in here that you've broken already, and for us as an organisation who support trans kids and their families, for us this is massive in terms of being able to say to all of those people who look to us to be their voices, etc., that you've given us that platform to be able to go out to the rest of the world and go, look, trans kids exist and they need your help. And to have such overwhelming support, I mean, I just want to cry. It's just amazing.
I looked away from the donation counter to play the game, and when I looked back, we'd raised $10,000.
When I came on, I said a very broad thank you to Mermaids because you guys helped me out a lot when I was younger and really struggling. When I was in my worst place possible, I phoned up and just spoke to one of your counselors for hours, and it brought me back from the brink, and that's the reason I'm here. And the reason I'm on the stream today is I just really wanted to say thank you to Mermaids because it's just sorry.
No. Honestly, this is why we do what we do, because the fact is that I know that there are so many other young people and families who are struggling right now, and I'm so pleased we were there for you when you needed us. I'm so pleased. Oh, you're making me all emotional now.
Wanted to acknowledge that Owen Jones and Swery have both retweeted the stream as well, so thank you to both of them.
And apparently we've had a Metro article written about us as well.
There's a
wow.
Metro article.
Absolutely phenomenal.
We have Paris here.
Oh shit!
Hello.
Okay.
So hi Paris.
It's a pleasure to meet you.
Oh.
Paris?
Can you hear us?
Hi, how's it going? Where is it? How many people are here? Where is everybody?
There's a bunch of there's 24,000 people watching.
It's just really it's great to know that you guys are out there, because this is the thing. It's like the thing that upsets me most isn't so much the bigots, because we know that they're out there. You know, it's all the good, you know, the good people, quote unquote, who just don't say anything and are complicit in it.
Yeah, I like. Yeah, and another big part of it is just a lot of people like to talk. They like to be the one who said the good thing, and not enough people like to stop to listen. And I can at least make a point of doing that as often as possible.
Can I say this year is 10 years since I don't want to say became an activist, because we never call people who campaign to maintain the status quo
Status quo warrior. Yeah.
It's 10 years since I decided I wanted to try and make the world better for people like me, and I've been doing a lot of reflection as we go into the new year, and the world is just unrecognizable. You know, it's just so different.
I think Paris, this is Susie here, Paris, and I think this.
Hi.
Hi there. I think this single action that has spanned the last 3 days and will continue on for as long as Paris can stay awake. I think this is the most positive thing I have ever been involved in. For the
Me
trans
too,
community.
without a shadow of a doubt. And the thing is, Susie, you know, we speak a lot behind the scenes sometimes, and it just feels absolutely relentless, doesn't it? You know,
It does,
and the thing is, the people that are attacking you, they're funded by newspapers. You know,
That's sinister. Fine, carry on.
Is somebody being knocked off? And I know that you try not to put things out there. I think we all try not to put our moments of despair out there, because we, you know, want to be professional, you know, want to give other people hope and all the rest of it. But I know that you tear your hair out sometimes. You know, we all do, and give you a boost.
It's given me a massive boost already. I just even just as it started, as we sort of became aware of it, and some of I think somebody said to me, "Have you seen this? Have you seen this? This is amazing." And that was when you were at, I think, like 13,000, Harris, when you just first started. And I was like, "Wow, who is this?" Started to look into it. And I cannot believe where it's got to. Share is retweeting.
Yeah.
AOC has been
For
on.
me, I'm just playing. Alexandria Cortez has been here. I'm just in this massive honking, steaming mess of a level. I'm a bit distracted right now, but it's amazing.
Oh, Mara.
Yes.
People in the stream really want you to say trans rights.
Just to say trans rights?
Just say trans rights.
Okay, I mean,
exclamation point.
Well, trans rights are human rights. Exclamation point.
They're just regular rights.
Exclamation point. She put the exclamation point on it, man. Like, come on.
Yeah, it's. I just found out about Mermaids. It sounds like an amazing organization. I've been a big supporter of Trans Lifeline here in the U.S., but I think it's really important that there's something out there that empowers people and listens to them and understands them. It's great. It's super cool.
Mara, I really loved you in Matilda, which was really good. It's almost made all of its money back. It's a really, really good film. Check it out in stores now. DVD, Blu-ray release soon.
We've hit 250,000.
Wow! Oh my word! That's amazing.
It's a lot, isn't it?
It's a real change that it's going to make, you know.
Yeah, I'm very happy to spread the word about it too. I think that it really is, you know, you need to be able to get these things to people while they're young, you know, to get that kind of help and understanding. It's just I don't know, it's just the way that it should be. I feel like, I don't know, this is a positive change. I'm glad the world is slowly moving forward in this way.
Yeah.
So many problems of you know, being trans are to do with transitioning later in life, you know, or being forced to go through a completely unnecessary and, you know, really traumatic puberty,
You know,
Right.
It's like I didn't need to go through a male puberty. It was completely avoidable. The problem was my parents didn't have the information and support, and that's what Mermaids is providing. And as far as I'm concerned, they're doing absolutely life-saving work. The attacks on them are, I don't use this word often, but really evil, actually. And I try to be generous and think that the people that are attacking them are, everybody thinks they're a good guy, right? And I think that they think that they're on a virtuous cause, but I would just encourage them to listen to the families that Mermaids is helping, because they're doing great work, and Susie's been doing great work unsung for years, behind the scenes, proper grassroots activism, and she's a wonderful person.
Oh, thank you.
You know who Josh Sawyer is? I'm told this is somebody you might know.
Josh Sawyer is my hero.
Okay, well, we should have him on then, I think.
Hello, it's wonderful to meet you, Joshua Sawyer, creator of Fallout New Vegas and many other good games. It's...
Oh, hi.
Oh my god.
How's it going?
Your work means so much to me, and I want to say, like, since we're talking about LGBT stuff, Arcade Gannon was a really meaningful character to me, and I know you put a lot of personal work into that character, and that means so much. Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. I'm really glad to be on the stream, and really glad you're doing what you're doing.
Oh, me too. I'm surprised to discover what I'm doing, but it's excellent that it's happening, and I'm so happy.
Oh my god.
Yeah, right?
I'm sorry, I have no chill. Also, just anything that Chris Avallone writes for, I'm just completely obsessed with.
He's a great writer.
He's a really good writer.
Chelsea.
Yeah.
So this is Chelsea. I just want to say that Fallout New Vegas, a tremendous game, and I'm a huge fan.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And you've made other good games too since then. You weren't just a one-trick pony a decade ago. You've also made other good games more recently. But that was a very meaningful game.
It's the only Fallout in the series that I actually like.
Yeah. It's a solid 84 out of 100.
Free Fallout.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, but I did want to say something before I go, because I'm a design director and work at a game development studio. I've been in the game industry about 20 years now, and to be honest, when I first got into game development was not a very friendly place for gay people, lesbian, transgender people. It was pretty hostile. I'm very happy that over the past 5-10 years, it's become much friendlier, much more accepting place for people. And I want to encourage trans people who want to be devs. I want to encourage you to apply to be devs, because the climate has changed a lot, as it should have a long time ago. And I want to reach out and say, please submit your applications. We want to see you in game development. We want to see all sorts of people who are not represented enough in game development. So I want to encourage people to apply for jobs.
That's very good of you to say. Thank you. We had Lennon on earlier, who I think worked on Rock Band, or Guitar Hero, to talk about this as well. But yeah, I think representation really does matter, especially in the games industry, and that's really good. That's really good of you to say. Thank you.
All right, I'm going to head out, and of course, just because it is the thing to say, trans rights are human rights.
Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
Bye, see you later, guys.
Yeah.
Pleasure talking to you.
Okay, I guess we should do like a formal introduction for those who don't know us. Hi, we're Proto Magical Girl. We are a plural trans speedrunner. We used to work for Games Done Quick and do a bunch of other speedrunning events and stuff. And yeah, I guess a bunch of people wanted us on this stream. Don't know why, but we're here now.
I mentioned your work, but oh boy.
Person in the chat who said, I've always referred to myself in my head as we. Is that normal? No, probably not. You're valid.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's not. It may not be common, but that doesn't mean it's not normal or not.
That's
or
true.
not valid. Yeah.
You might be plural though.
Yeah, who knows? The definition of normal. We've been talking a lot about this. A lot of different competing definitions of words that used to seem so simple when I was 6, and it turns out
It was
that's
all
fine.
bullshit.
It was all a lie. I think I know which one is the one I haven't done now, which is great. So thanks. But also, CNET.com just published an article. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez drops in on Twitch stream, says Nintendo 64 is the best console. We did it.
We've been spending the past 2 years saying that we're in the bad timeline, but honestly, this is starting to look like the good timeline.
So, there's this thing that a lot of people don't know, that there's around an 8 to 10-fold increase back and forth between autism and being transgender. You tend to find that people are about 10 times more frequently one than... if they're one, they're about 10 times more likely than the general population to be the other, which we have no real solid idea as to why that is, because apparently, it's known, we know the numbers, but no one researches this, apparently.
They're correlated, and
yeah.
the cause hasn't, isn't
Yeah.
found. People would like to assume it's just the bad people. It's just all the stuff. But no, there's actually, we just don't know, because we haven't done any studies into it, because people don't want people to check.
Yeah, there's some vague theories that involve things like parts of the brain that involve image self-regulation and perception, and certain parts of the brain that light up in similar ways in both, but we don't know for certain. But I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about that overlap, because I think there's some really interesting stuff that's never really talked about in there. So this is going to be like a real crash course sort of thing, but the basics are, there's a lot of things that when you first come out as a trans person, there's a lot of pressure to there's this term passing, which is a nonsense thing. It's this idea that trans people are only valid as trans people if they make themselves invisible, if they, can pass for being a cis person of their gender. But it's a thing that a lot of people target for a lot of reasons, be it for personal comfort, be it for safety, for being able to use things like women's changing rooms, public bathrooms without being harassed. And there's a lot of aspects of passing, if that's a thing that, if that's a thing that you're aiming for, that are really difficult when you're on the autism spectrum. Some basic examples are things like, if you're a trans woman who has gone through a testosterone-based puberty already, you've got things like facial hair. Having to shave your face on a daily basis or multiple times a day can be really bad if you have touch sensitivity. It's a really common thing, like makeup. For anyone that uses makeup to cover things like 5 o'clock shadow, that's really difficult if you've got touch sensitivity.
I can't stand makeup.
Yeah. Getting used to changes in clothing outfits can be really difficult. I know for myself, suddenly adapting to things like where bra straps were sitting. Again, a lot of these are just because of touch sensitivity, but that can be a real barrier to a lot of the things that can make it easier to be safe out in the world as a trans person, and it really sucks.
Yeah, I don't really enjoy concepts like passing. I find them... it's a lot of unnecessary gatekeeping, and for a lot of people who... I mean, some people straight up can't afford a lot of makeup. There are plenty of cis women who also can't, and these, when we place expectations that require something that someone can't do on a gender, I don't think that's appropriate, personally.
It's a nonsense concept in and of itself, in that it shouldn't be a requirement to being taken seriously as a trans person, but it's equally a case of it is a reality that a lot of people don't take trans people seriously when we don't pass, and I count myself in that. I'm a non-passing trans person. I am very, very frequently read as a trans person, and that was really difficult when I first came out, because it increases the frequency with which you get harassment. It makes the potential risk and the fears associated with being out in the world. It feels a lot more real that someone might clock that you're trans, and that if they have a problem with that, they might bring that up.
I've asked trans women who I feel, I can ask these questions and not feel like I'm overstepping the mark. Why does passing matter to you, to people who do find it important? And the answer is, getting it's one of the ways you deal with if you ever get clocked, as it were. It's you you cope with that in a variety of different ways, and one of them is by deciding, well, I guess I have to try and pass all the time now, and
it's partly that, and I'm gonna be honest. Part of it is just the times where I do wear makeup, I look better. There are times where I look at myself in the mirror and go, I look beautiful.
Can I chime in for sort of a story about this particular topic? So, this is not going to be the happiest story, just as a forewarning. We did not have the luxury of getting to start HRT via informed consent. And so for those of you who sort of know about this process, knows that meant, in the United States, we had to get notes from like gender specialist therapists, TM. Now this was literally traumatizing hell, and I cannot put it any lighter. But one of the things that happened in that therapy was this fucking doctor, who's some random cis woman who knows nothing about trans people, decided that I wasn't actually trans, that I was just autistic and uncomfortable with having gone through puberty. And yeah, so the intersection of being trans and autistic is a thing.
Yeah, I did have another thing on this that was on that topic I wanted to say.
I'll go for it.
Yeah, so the thing I wanted to bring up was infantilization of people on the autism spectrum is a really big problem. Just
oh god, yes.
A lot of people assume that people who are on the autism spectrum just aren't capable of making informed decisions about their own ability to live their lives, and that often overlaps when a person who is diagnosed on the autism spectrum comes out as trans. You get these issues. I had issues with my doctors being very, very iffy about prescribing me hormones because they knew I had an autism diagnosis. When I came out to my mother as trans, her assumption was that my therapist had brainwashed me into being trans because I was a vulnerable autistic person who, wouldn't have been able to see if I was being brainwashed, and that I wasn't really trans. I just was an autistic person that had been tricked into thinking it. It's a real thing, isn't it?
Gosh, I mean, we talk about autism being a spectrum, but it's even more complex than that. It's a spectrum of numerous different aspects. I wanted to look into that in more detail, but
all those people who are like, I'd rather have a dead kid than an autistic kid sort of mindset it's ludicrous. Because autism can suck sometimes, but it can also be great. It can have its wonderful moments. Like
Harris, people are reminding you to save your game.
I saved. I did it just then. I saw people mentioning it. Thank you very much, Valentina, specifically for atting me on Discord.
Yeah, fuck Autism Speaks.
Yeah.
Oh god, yeah, no. They are
oh my god, fuck Autism Speaks.
Yeah.
Never support them in particular, but
support the Autistic Self-Advocacy Network instead.
Yeah.
That's the name. That's the one whose name this is the problem with being a very negative person. You remember the names of the ones that suck, and you don't remember the names of the good ones. So thank you for saying that on the stream. Now people know, because I only know
ASAN. It's like NASA backwards.
Yeah,
it's easy to remember.
All I know is Fuck Autism Speaks. I just don't know the one that you should donate to. So thank you.
Hello.
Hello. What do you do? And who are you?
My name's Gwen Flowers. I'm just a blind person that I grew up in the blind community and openly came out as a member of the National Federation of the Blind and has publicly transitioned with that stuff.
Wow. I guess it's very stereotypical to say what was that like, but if you want to talk about your experience, I'd love to hear it.
The other thing I do is I make trashy noise and music under the name.
The name what? Sorry.
Thou Art I, as it's a Persona reference.
Ah. I like noise music as well. What's your SoundCloud?
It's Thou Art I on Bandcamp.
Thou Art I. Thank you for sharing. I'm gonna listen to that.
But
I've got a long list of
that's
of
really
musicians
cool,
have been
yeah.
on the stream now. I've got a lot of music to listen to, but thank you.
Yeah, and growing up blind and then like coming out and being queer and trans in the blind community, I'm guessing it's different than with sighted people because there's less about visibility out there. Blindness, visibility, ha ha ha, it's a joke. But like a lot of it is about like vocal stuff and nonverbal cues, and that's how passing works within that community. And like, if you can make your voice count, if you make your voice more feminine, if you can make it whichever way you're going, that's how the blind community. But they've been more accepting to me than half the sighted people I've ever met, and which is great because sighted people have not been the greatest to me.
What's going on?
Hello.
Hello there. Is that Lindsay?
Hello. It is. Hi, Lindsay Broadwell. I'm out lesbian. I talk about nuclear power and sex rights transport policy, and as far as I know, I'm also the first out lesbian candidate for Leicester City Council, so roll on May 2019. Literally yesterday, I was in the ladies' bathroom at a gay bar, and this woman comes in, and they're like, I'm 6'1", and I'm pretty much the epitome of a butch lesbian, and I'm a contralto, or as one singing instructor called me, a baritone with boobs, which isn't very nice, but you know. And she just looked at me and said, "What are you doing here?" And I was just like, "Madam, tits." Just look, you are literally, I am 6'1" and you're like 5 foot something. They are literally at your eye level. But she was just like, "Ew, what are you doing?" It's just like, you're policing gender in a gay bar. And it turned out she was there with a hen party, so it all made sense.
Yeah, they were there to see some of those queers that they've heard of.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, it's like the two gay bars which are actually left in Leicester right now are so gentrified. They're basically just like the places where hen nights go. Like
they're places where people go to see gay people.
Yeah, they are. It's just like, ooh, look at these queers. Ooh, aren't they charming? It's just, and then they just like come up and try to touch my hair, and it's just like, don't touch my hair.
You've picked on something which in specific has really annoyed me, and it's happening more and more frequently. It's people, because they feel like because they're angry about trans people, are policing gender norms in bathrooms harder than ever before, and it is affecting a lot of cis people who just look slightly different. It affects,
I mean, it's like
everyone.
I mean, I call myself cis, but I'm kind of. Firstly, it's like when people ask me what my gender is, I'm just like, so people are like, "What's your gender?" I'm like, "Yes." But the other thing is just, I am cis-ish, but I have what's known as an intersex condition. Which this is basically when, you don't really fit neatly into a category between male and female on a physiological level. It happens to a lot of intersex people, especially if they have ambiguous genitalia is the term they use. They will fix you, which what fixing means is basically amputating your clitoris, or in some cases amputating a penis, because about a third of the people I do this to turn out to, identify as male. And they've had their dicks cut off as babies. And, there's a really long and shitty history of it. Like, doctors will outright lie to parents, or they'll say, "Oh, this is necessary," when it isn't. Because 99% of the time, it's like it's just a weird-looking vagina, it's a weird-looking penis. And the baby can pee fine, they're just, they're okay. But there's such this obsession with just fitting people into a binary box that you are literally having doctors mutilating babies to make them fit in. Gender, as a kid, doesn't fucking matter. Like, it doesn't even start to assert itself until puberty happens. And it's like, I started getting periods at like 14, so I gather that's a little bit later. But the thing is, it's like, in primary school, I remember there's this obsession with just like, oh, you can't play with the boys, or you can't do this, you can't do that. Like, full disclosure, like, I will wear a skirt on occasion, but if somebody tells me I must wear a skirt, I'm like, fuck you, no I don't. Which, because so much of it is just, when it's kids you talk about, so much is not just like letting kids explore their own presentation, which, might be more, masculine, more feminine, and that's for them to decide. It's just, this is your role, you will not deviate. You must prepare for commencing ejection of the babies if you're female. And it's just like, even as a kid, I was like, I hate babies. I'm really bad with babies. Why would I like babies? It's...
Kind of related to the whole gender of children thing, I had an endocrine condition growing up, and I'm a trans girl now, but I was forced to go through forced to take testosterone at a doctor's office for years, even though it felt wrong and was horrifying.
Oh, yeah.
That was like absolutely traumatic, and I was vocal about not wanting it from the start, and like, this doesn't feel right, this isn't what I want, but I was born a guy. I guess I have to do this, and I did it against my will.
I mean, it's really horrifying, and that's why, you know, when you'll occasionally get intersex people who say, "Oh, I don't like trans people," and use it as a cultural stick, and then there's some transgender people who don't understand about intersex people. But the thing is, for me, I think our struggles are interrelated because, you know, what you went through was a violation of your bodily autonomy. And, you know, if I've been operated on as a kid, that would have been a violation of my bodily autonomy. So, you know, when it ultimately comes down to it, we want the same thing, which is, this is my body, I want my rights to my body to be respected, I don't want to have people doing things to me against my will. I don't understand why it isn't just on an informed consent model, because it's like, I go into the pharmacy because I take the pill because it helps my periods, right? Yeah. I can go down to the pharmacy, I can go on the pharmacy's website, next day I can walk into the branch, I can collect that medication. It's ethinyl estradiol and levonorgestrel, one of them is a synthetic estrogen, the other one is synthetic progesterone. That is powerful medication, I can get it just by filling out a questionnaire. And you know, like with trans people, I just feel like, okay, fill out this questionnaire, make sure you know what you're getting, are you everything, blah blah blah. If you are, yeah, here, go collect from the pharmacy the next day. I don't understand why they need to drag people through, you know, these 7 circles of hell or whatever it is. Because a couple of friends of mine are trans, like 2 of my friends from uni are transgender men, and like the stories they've had from, you know, going through the GIC system, going through all the fucking gatekeeping. It honestly makes me angry because so much of it is just incredibly cruel. Like, there's one doctor, and I'm actually going to name drop her because she fucking deserves it. Her name is Dr. Richards, and she's at the GIC in Nottingham. And she is alleged to, I'm going to say alleged because she might sue me. She is alleged to ask incredibly leading questions. Like, she'll ask you things like, do you deny suicidal ideation? Do you deny drug use? Do you deny being mentally unstable? She'll ask you she will allegedly ask all these, incredibly leading questions, which are allegedly intended to trip you up and allegedly intended to deny you care based on, you know, whatever answers you give.
So we have Rebecca Heineman here.
Oh. Hello.
Hi there, everybody. Hi.
What do you do?
Well, let's start with what started my video game career. I'm the very first video game champion.
Oh.
I won the Atari National Space Invaders tournament in first the regionals in June of 1980, then the nationals in November of 1980, and I was crowned the video game champion of the world at that time, and it was for the Atari 2600 version of Space Invaders. And then I moved on to doing video games for a living and was one of the founders of Interplay Productions. You may have heard of that place. Yeah, I'm looking at the game you're playing, I'm like, man, I remember that, but boy, it's been so long.
Yeah,
it's like when you mentioned Space Invaders, I was just like, my god, it's been so long, because literally one of the things I have just above my desk on the shelf right now is a wood grain 6-switch Atari 2600 with Space Invaders in the slot. And I'm just like, I've had to sell so many of my retro consoles to make rent money lately, but that one I'm not going to sell because it's just, I'm in awe of what people were able to do with the 2600's hardware. Because do any of you know a game called Solaris, which came up with the 2600?
Yes, I do.
It's incredible. I watch it now and I'm just like, this still looks good now. It's like some vaporwave from the 1980s, and it was coded in like, I think a 4K cartridge, and I'm just like,
something I didn't mention was I also wrote 2 Atari 2600 games. I was the one who reverse engineered the Atari 2600 for Avalon Hill. So I did a game called London Blitz and another one, Out of Control. So yeah, I know exactly how to program the Atari 2600.
Right.
I also did Chuck Norris Super Kicks and Robin Hood for Zonix, where I took their Atari games and imported them to the Commodore 64 VIC-20. So that was back in 1982, 83, somewhere in there.
Of course, like, do you have to write them in like machine code?
Well, if you're talking about the Atari, you had no choice. That was the only way to write it. It was 6502 assembly code, and I was using an Apple II computer to write my software, and I built this ROM emulator so that I could do development on it. In fact, I actually still have the thing.
Well, maybe you'll save a life. Like, there's so many people in really bad situations.
I'm going through the different hour blocks to see the different announcements, and it's like, 16 hours ago, Gay Times, Hbomberguy raises over $100,000. Metro, 3 hours ago, Hbomberguy raises $200,000 to spite comedy writer. 2 hours ago, Kotaku Australia, Marathon Donkey Kong stream raises over $350,000 for transgender. They got the number wrong. Oh, it's Canadian dollars, obviously, yeah.
Yeah. Also, I just got asked to shout out a transgender electronic music band in Leicester. It's Screaming Like Tomorrow, so that's Screaming Like Tomorrow. I feel like a radio DJ. I'm doing shout outs.
Wonderful.
Transgender electronic music. What is not to like? Like, people say Leicester doesn't have an art scene. It does have an art scene. You just need to find it.
Hey, I'm a Maru/Valerie. I'm a Palestinian American activist. I grew up in Palestine, and I am a trans woman. My areas of expertise are mainly on Middle Eastern politics. Every single time I come on the stream or speak, people just start spamming Free Palestine and Palestine Gang, which I appreciate it.
Yeah, I think that's
yeah.
So, like, there's almost no POC trans representation, like, period. Cat Black is it for Left Tube, but outside of Left Tube, there's none of. You don't get trans POC, generally, which is very bad because that's a group that needs like good role models and representation more than anything else. The suicide rate is highest for trans people of color, so yeah.
I spent most of the summers of my life in a village in the south of South Korea, helping my family with their rice farms and stuff. And that village was interesting when I started being more visibly queer, because there were like a few queer people there, like my dear friend Janae. I love you, and if you're watching this, know where you are. Say you will right now and don't watch this stuff. But we grew up together and kind of found queerness together, and the village was not the most accepting place.
Oh yeah, I grew up in a really small town, so I can imagine.
Anyway, for a lot of the world that isn't white or Western, and even for a lot of the world that is white or Western, POC people are looked down upon, and the reason for that tends to be Western colonialism, introducing ideas that are very anti-trans, anti-gay, that kind of. Iran is said to have great protections for trans people, but A, it doesn't, and B, it forces gay men to transition.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Less than ethically great, at least.
Ironically, one of the places that resisted colonialism the best, Pakistan, has some of the greatest protections for trans people because their conception of gender is very, very different from the rest of the world.
Colonialism fucked so much shit up. It really did. I mean, I think one thing we can say is just like being trans is really, really hard because our culture is just so not accepting of it, and it gets even worse when you combine it with other like axes of oppression, like race, for instance, or religion, or just whatever things that people decided they want to hate each other over for now. It's
my parents are conservative Muslims, and it might even be harder in the West if your parents are marginalized because. There's the communities are so closely knit. Like that's an issue that I had. I couldn't go out in feminine clothing because the community that I was around knew who I was. Even with regards to the representation thing, I didn't know what being trans really was until I was like 16, and I didn't realize until I was 17, which sounds fairly normal, but like, God, we need more trans representation overall, but like if you're in that kind of isolated community, it's also fairly outwardly isolating, as in it's more difficult to access resources.
Extremely so, yeah.
Well, that's why I went ahead, I'm trying my best for trans representation, A, for being a out trans woman, in the gaming industry, and B, as part of my giving back, I joined the board of GLAD, and I'm helping them, making certain that they keep, trans people on their agenda.
Good. That's really awesome.
What's that hashtag again?
Hashtag trans crowdfund.
Yeah. Someone posted that it doesn't really apply anymore in the modern day. It doesn't, because the interpretation of Islam used in Iran and in Saudi Arabia is very repressive with regards to women's bodily autonomy.
It's in Saudi Arabia, it's Wahhabism, isn't it?
Wahhabism or Salafism.
Wahhabism or Salafism. Okay, yeah.
We've got Jacob back, and we've got Dominic Evans. Actually, Dominic here, a filmmaker, and well, actually, Dominic, you just introduce yourself.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I am Dominic Evans. I am trans, non-binary, queer, and disabled. I am a wheelchair user. I'm hard of hearing. I have psychiatric and chronic disabilities. And I have a degree in film. My work has been in film representation for marginalized communities. Most of my work has been through disability representation, but I see a lot of parallels with lack of representation for the trans community. And I particularly talk about how while disabled people in general don't have a lot of representation, if you're a disabled person of color or a disabled Black person, or if you are disabled and trans, disabled and queer, you have even less representation. So how intersectionality affects representation. And I'm also a streamer on Twitch as well. So people, when I came out, the big thing was you can't be both. And religious people love to say God would never give you so much, like being disabled is a challenge and being trans is a challenge. And, I mean, and that's kind of ableist and transphobic and thinking it's a challenge anyway. I see being disabled as a part of my identity, just like I see being trans, a part of who I am. It's not the whole of me, but ignoring my disability doesn't help me gain access anywhere. Ignoring I'm trans doesn't doesn't make the issues I face because I'm trans go away. But in the trans community, a lot of people don't want to include me because I'm disabled, and in the disability community, there's so much transphobia that I don't feel welcome there either, and there are so many trans disabled people. There are so many queer disabled people,
I'm Native American from Nez Perce tribe. Shout out. I don't know if there's any people from the Nez Perce tribe here. That's in fucking Idaho. But
well, there's 18,000, so it's possible.
Could be at least one. If they're there, I hope they say something so I can be like, yeah, you get it. Yeah, no, the experience is like super fucking weird, and it's just like within like Native American culture, it's kind of like it's a little bit of a mixed bag, because like a lot of them are very avid followers of like Christianity from my experience, and like like I used to go to a camp with all my cousins and stuff, and we'd be in this little tent going to church, and you'd have to go to church for like 2 hours every Sunday, and it was such a fuck of a bummer. No offense to people who like church, but
it's too late.
And then like so there's that, and then there's also like within Native American culture, I mean, you've got like the two-spirit and shit like that. They're a little bit more cool about like different gender identities and stuff, but it's a hell of an experience. And like oddly enough, I don't know, I love talking about this in particular because like, okay, so I'm gonna preface this with like, I know it's like problematic, like in Twilight, even though the character Jacob was like played by a white guy, like he's not even Native American. It was like the closest thing I had growing up, and he was like a male like role model to me. This like big buff Native American dude who was like, he was just being a fucking guy, and like he wasn't a big old caricature of a human being. He was just being this fucking guy who was taking his shirt off, and it was awesome.
I think that's really common for those of us that don't have our own representation completely to relate to characters that kind of fit that narrative, I've never seen...
I remember it being really important to me for some reason as a kid that like I would point out the official art that comes in the booklet for Ocarina of Time, and I would like point out like, see, Sheik is a guy, and like, no, it's just Zelda in a disguise. I'm like, no, like she turns completely into a guy, and that's who Sheik is, and Sheik is a man, and that was always very important to me.
I was I really wanted to bring up I wanted to content warn about eating disorders, and I was wondering if that would be okay to talk about.
I have a lot of experience with that, absolutely. I don't know.
It seems relevant. Yeah. Feel free.
Because, I mean, I personally I don't, but I know a lot of trans men do and have had issues or are currently struggling with eating disorders because of, you know, the reduction in body fat and sometimes the cessation of menses and everything, and it's really a big issue and probably something that a lot of people don't actually know is going on in the trans kind of mass community.
For disabled trans folk, you know, it can be hard to lose weight. It can be hard to gain weight, depending on your disability. And I know so many trans disabled people who have experienced eating disorders, you know, and so it is, especially trans mask, as you said, individuals. So
I know a lot of I don't know how this is in the US, but in the UK, a lot of the surgeons for top surgery kind of demand people be under a certain BMI, and I mean that is a huge struggle for a lot of people I know as well.
Right. It's for skin health or something. It has something to do with skin elasticity or something. It's
Something like
recovery
that.
from surgery.
Yeah. I don't know how this is in the US, but in the UK, a lot of the surgeons for top surgery kind of demand people be under a certain BMI, and I mean that is a huge struggle for a lot of people I know as well.
Right. It's for skin health or something. It has something to do with skin.
Even if you're going in for trans-related surgeries or things, the nurses and the doctors there often aren't entirely clued up on anything, and I mean I've had really things said to me that shouldn't have been said to me whilst I was waiting for surgery, and my friends who are kind of in rehab at hospital for other things, I mean it's it's not a great situation. It's not maybe people don't realize how clued up the medical profession are in general on trans issues. So if you have a lot of contact with GPs, doctors, nurses, it can be quite dysphoric and triggering the way that you're talked about.
I will say that I've spent many times going through. I've been to all kinds of timelines and seen many sites, and I will say without a doubt that this brings a tear to my eye, and I think that is a kind way. And this proves love is real, and I think it's such a good way that you are doing this, and I support it all the way, because there's only one dang thing to do with your time on this timeline, and that's to make sure you prove love as much as you possibly can, and then you are doing that 100%.
I hope to help do that as well. Prove love.
And I think that sometimes when people have a unique way, like I do, and then they say, "Oh, you talk in a funny way," or "I don't like that about you," but I think that when you realize we're all trying to prove love in our own way, that can bring a lot of people together. A lot of dang good in the world.
You're my fucking hero.
I think you're right. You're wonderful.
There's so much power in being weird on the internet. I just uploaded a YouTube video for the first time in my life today, and I just kind of allowed myself to get a little bit weird, and it felt very liberating to just kind of start talking and just not stop and kind of express myself in the way that I truly want to. And people like you just give me so much power to do that shit. Like you are too powerful, dude.
I don't think I'm a big deal at all. But this is a big deal, and I don't think anyone here really understands that, so I want to try and put it in some perspective for you. So a lot of the community who's screaming my name right now is from my community or Hassan's community. I'm a small-time streamer. I moderate for Hassan, and I talk with him on gender issues all the time.
Yeah.
But the big thing in my life is, and why I stream, is to help out the trans community, to help out my community. And I stream a lot of my nonprofit work. I am on the steering committee, as we are now trying to call it, but originally board of directors, for the largest trans-led nonprofit in America.
Wow.
And I really want to spotlight like what you're doing here. Like I'm looking at your dono bar saying 300,000, and I can hear my own voice shaking. Like this is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Because I'm in the largest trans-led nonprofit in our country, and that's triple our yearly budget.
God.
Like the
I mean,
impact
you don't believe
you're
it. I
about
don't
to
believe it
have-
either. I'm still waiting to discover it. This is all some kind of lie. There's one
But,
golden banana to go. It's in this level, and I don't know which
Shit.
of the ones I'm looking at tutorial for it is, because it feels like I've done them all. But I've collected a lot of bananas, so I mean they're all starting to look the same.
What's gender therapy?
Well, so I mean, technically, it's not inherently. I mean, I don't have a special degree. Basically, I am a licensed professional clinical, which is just a master's level psych degree, basically. But that's my specialty. That's my training. And so most of what I do is actually right now I write a lot of surgery letters. So there's a couple surgeons where I work, or in the city that I work in, and I work with them to basically just make sure people are ready for surgery. And I guess for me what that means is I practice from what's called the informed consent perspective, which basically means I'm trying to value people's bodily autonomy and trying to like help them jump through. The way I look at it is help people jump through the hoops that already exist in like the easiest way possible. So get up on my back, put you on my shoulders, and let's get you through these hoops. And so that's like I don't know if people know about WPATH criteria is usually what that is.
Yeah. I mean, if you could explain for our
For
listeners.
sure. So WPATH is the World Professional Association of Transgender, and there's some good things about WPATH, there's some bad things about WPATH, but currently they're the ones who basically set the standards of care for all sorts of medical transition stuff. So, and they gather all the information, the current research that's out there, and they update the standards of care document, which I think is actually pretty useful. If you're ever wanting like citations and stuff like that, it's a pretty good resource. But it basically says, for if you're a trans guy and you want to get top surgery, the best standards they say is you should be able to you're supposed to have gender dysphoria, which is again kind of tricky because some people do or don't have dysphoria. Sometimes they have euphoria, or it doesn't bother them to a significant degree, but they still want to be able to transition. But like, so for top surgery, right, it's like, do you have gender dysphoria? Are you able to consent to your own medical care? Are you over 18? And is your mental health and physical health well managed? And basically that can be kind of anything. It's like, so most people I see have some sort of mental health stuff going on, but they don't, that doesn't mean you can't have surgery. If you're depressed, and especially if that's related to dysphoria, like getting top surgery would be an amazing thing for you. So just basically checking and being like, are you in a good enough place where you're able to get through the surgery process, like, and have a good recovery? Do you have a little bit of a support system? But really, I don't know. It's one of those things where I see the process as, I don't know. I kind of wish it didn't exist because.
Yeah, no, we have informed consent in Los Angeles, and even that is split up by sort of like county. Like I transitioned in Orange County, which is basically LA, but like the process is a little different. Like you have to see a therapist. You can't just do informed consent. It's it's like everything is location dependent for a trans person. Absolutely everything.
Exactly. And I have people. So I live and work in Minnesota. And so we have pretty good, pretty good care here. We have a couple different informed consent clinics and a lot of stuff like that. But, even here, it can be really hard to access. It's easier here than anywhere else. Like
something as you say about resources, the really important thing that stands out that we should be giving primacy before anything in the stream is the amount of things to follow upon. There's so many people I want to get back to, and there's so many things that still need to be done and still can be, because people have been talking about the stream as if when it ends, that's the last time anything like this could ever remotely happen, and it doesn't have to be that way. And that's the lesson. I think I said this when Miss Cortez left. there can be more of them. And I think we should focus on that, because otherwise we'll pretend that this was just a random event and none of the people who came out today exist. And they do, and they're still here. Anyway, I need to stop talking, or I will never finish this game, so please, thank you.
I was gonna say, we just started a small little 10 people were gonna go stand out on a big street with signs and stuff like that, and it ended up turning into 6,000 people. So I guess that's the other thing I would say is, like, you never know how many people are gonna show up, and like doing something even small can sometimes turn into something amazing. I imagine you probably didn't think that this was gonna turn into $300,000 when you booted up the stream.
No,
right,
not at all. Nowhere near it. Nowhere near it.
went
literally
viral,
a hundredth of that. Like,
right.
Yeah.
And that's even amazing. Like $3,000. That's like, you know.
Yeah.
That's still enough to run a program. I run a trans youth program, and our like yearly budget is $3,500 for like snacks and going on field trips and like doing community events and stuff like that. So like. I don't know. It's just amazing. One of the organizations that I work with is called Tiger R. It stands for Trans, Intersex, Gender Expansive, Revolutionary Resources and Services.
Wow.
Tiger RS. Tigers. Rawr.
Tigers. That's a really good acronym. That's great.
And yeah, thank you. And we basically like run it. It's our goal is to be youth led. So we center youth and we run youth social groups, because there's a lot of therapy groups out there for like trans folks and queer folks, but we actually are like, we're gonna go to the museum, or every summer we run Mondo queer beach parties for the trans community particularly. But really what it's about is we take over a beach, and there's so many trans folks who can't go swimming because of dysphoria and stuff like that. And so if you have 50, 100, 200 trans folks hanging out at the beach together, that could be like a really transformative thing. And all you have to do is like bring some burgers and some towels and like post a lot on Facebook, and you can make amazing things happen. So
another actually really good thing, people in chat, if you're looking for something to do, get involved with your local school board meetings. Because like a lot of the nasty stuff that's getting pushed, it starts at those school board meetings. So if you can fight back there, like that's a huge thing you can do.
Yeah, and actually in Minnesota we actually have an organization, because I know it's Chris talking. We have an organization called Gender Inclusive Schools. It's a local nonprofit organization that goes to school board meetings and like, you know, shows up and has conversations about those policy things, because it has to happen at every single school. You have to have a bathroom policy, otherwise it doesn't work.
Congrats on the banana, by the way.
We did it. We got the last one. We got them all.
Oh, amazing. Is that the end?
No, we have a 4-hour final boss fight to go. I'm gonna die so many times on this boss fight.
And then
Please introduce yourselves. I'm so sorry. I'm just losing it.
There's a million people waiting. So I'm Sarah Zedek at HMS No Fun on Twitter.
Hey Sarah, welcome back.
Hello. Thank you. Yeah, I've been on a few times at this point. I just wanted to talk about my podcast real quick, and May, who is also on, is my co-host. It's called the Trans Questioning Podcast, and kind of the whole mission statement of it is to show as many aspects of the trans experience as possible. So for me, coming out was very much a process of finding stories that were not ones that I had ever heard before that reflected my own life. And the whole podcast was me. It started off as me documenting my questioning experience, and then I started reaching out to people. So I talked to Karta Manir, who's on this chat earlier, and I reached out to May and then tricked her into being my friend, which is pretty wild. But I think it's really important, all of these things that we're talking about, there's a mundanity to being trans that I feel like is extraordinarily important to also demonstrate, where being trans is, generally speaking, the least interesting thing about us. And I've gotten so many messages from people saying that just hearing trans people talk together in a room about just what the fuck ever has helped them realize, like, oh, this isn't a death sentence.
Yeah.
So we've got I've been trying to find some great new voices to bring in, and Alice here reached out to me, a photographer, student, trans girl from southern Brazil, who wanted to come on and talk about the situation in Brazil and her perspective on things. So welcome, Alice. Your mic's still muted. There we go. Wait, they moved down to sound check.
Hi.
There we go.
Is this working now? Thank you. I'm a non-binary photographer from Brazil. And well, I do mostly protest photography around the big protests against Bolsonaro this last year. So I just want to talk about a little bit of the situation here. And wow, honestly, it's really kind of scary because it feels like we are being beat back into the shadows somehow, because Brazil was never really a good place for trans people. It's a very violent country, a very transphobic country, a country raised on very fundamentalist values, but now it feels like the little bits of freedom that we were gaining are just being, we're just being beat back into the underground, really. But yeah, if anyone has any questions.
And so that's in reference to the election of Bolsonaro, right? The recent presidential.
Yes.
If you tell, just for the people who probably maybe don't know, can you tell us what happened and what's changed in Brazil? It sounds like it wasn't good to start.
Well, in Brazil we have had for about 10 years a social democratic-ish government for a while. In 2016, our leftist president was impeached, in which many people, including me, have called a white coup. And then we had a neoliberal government for 2 years, and then we have the election, and the leftist party that had been ruling for 10 years lost to Bolsonaro, which is an outright congressman. How he outright exactly he ran on the good old right values of family, homophobia. You can search up some of his interviews. It's really horrific stuff about preferring to have a dead son than a gay son.
Yeah, I believe Ellen Page interviewed him back when he was before he was even running, and it was and people were talking about the concern then, and to see what's happened, I know it's affected a lot of people already, and I have a question for you. I know there's a large population of, or at least there's a large trend toward gay tourism to Brazil from America and Canada and places like that. What can people, with the sort of, if they want to be good allies, what can gay tourists do, if anything, when they're in the country to support the trans community there?
I'd say it's try to reach out to the local organizations that are more at the working class levels. Instead of just going to the prominent gay clubs, try to connect with the local organizations. You have a lot of organizations that do community work at a really working class level, and they are amazing, and you should connect with them as well instead of just going to the prominent places.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's good advice.
So kind of supporting local folks and doing your research if you're coming in for tourism.
Yeah. Brazil has a lot of culture around trans people, and we have a very rich LGBTQ history here, but it gets kind of buried, and well, the main way to reach out to that is really doing local work, connecting to local work.
What have you seen specifically change under this new presidency? What things have actually specifically changed? Is it just the narrative? Is it just the conversations they're having, or are there
Well,
policies?
we haven't had much time to see what's gonna happen yet, but in the state I live in, we already had the right to do name changes if you are a government worker has been revoked, at least in my state, and really it's very scary to be trans right now because the overall atmosphere has changed a lot, so it's riskier than it already was. But really it's more like what's gonna happen in the long run, what's gonna happen to the public funding. We already had an informational booklet that was published by the health ministry about being a trans man. It was called back, so that was real. But yeah, it's like
they said that
just starting.
Yeah. Well, and I know in the United States, even just like the threat or like that atmosphere part, like the fear whether it's actually something has directly affected you or not, like just the knowing that it's out there and knowing that it's not safe, like can affect you in so many ways. Affect people as an individual, even if you didn't work in the government, knowing the fact that you don't have institutional support is, can still affect people.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, it was always scary for trans people. Brazil is the country that kills the most trans people in the world. But now it's not only being trans, it's just like being a leftist in general is also risky. Just like telling your public opinion to anyone on the street is like a massive gamble now.
Right.
So it's really like we've already had gun control laws relaxed, which are really problematic in a country with a lot of domestic violence.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just like being beat back into the shadows, and well, the only way to counter that for me has been like connecting to the local. Like the only way to survive being beat back into the shadows is uniting with your fellow people.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's nothing. I just really appreciate that perspective, and thank you for like sharing that information with us.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Alice, for reaching out and.
Well, if you don't mind, I kind of wanted to say something. Of
course. Please. Yeah.
Part of why I wanted to hop in. So I kind of just want to talk about the impact of all of this, at least on me, and I think on a lot of people. So just sort of not to, I think a lot of people have been telling their stories on here, and a lot of people have stories, which is the revelation that I think we've made is just like there are so many stories. There are so many trans people with so many stories. And they're all very eager to tell them because it feels like no one's listening. And this stream has proven that people are listening, which is huge for me because basically I came out on YouTube. I've been out for over a year, like a year and a half now. I was on YouTube for a very long time, but I've been mostly terrified to come out, and I've kind of known for years that I was trans. But it took a really, really long time because basically loud YouTubers were everything that there was, and now it felt like safe enough to come out. But then like after that, basically for me, I mean, every time I upload a video, I lose like around 1,000 subscribers. I mean, I lose a lot of patrons. I get a lot of, I mean, it's been a bad couple months since I came out on YouTube.
And May, I am so sorry that people have been assholes. I
kind of wanted to finish up what I was saying.
I'm sorry.
Just to quickly finish up, it's been a bad couple months, and it just seemed like it was consistently getting worse, and the world was getting scarier. And then out of fucking nowhere, this thing, and like, God, it's just unbelievable because, like, I've literally lost everyone. You know, like, the isolation is incredible. You know, I've lost my family, I've lost my friends, I lost my partner of 3 years, I lost everybody. And then suddenly, here we are, and the entire world is support, and this thing has been going on, and there's just been so much support that, honestly, it feels like the fear that I've had for a really, really long fucking time dissolving. That I speak for a lot of people when I say that we are dissolving, and I think end here. That's my big thing. We can't let this end here. We have to carry this into the next couple years. We have to, and that's cis people, trans people, everybody, community, and the sense of like of global support just has to keep going.
Yeah.
Well, I've got an inspirational story for you about mermaids. In 2014, I went to Trans Pride for the first time, and there were loads of these little kids running around, right? They were like 7 to 10 years old. There's loads of them running around, like throwing balls and doing kid shit, right? And I assumed that they were the kids of some trans people or some older people somewhere, but I got talking to a couple of parents, and they were like, oh no, that's my daughter. These kids were trans. I'd never seen a trans kid in my life, and they were just running around being kids. And I looked at them, and they're having a childhood that many of the people watching tonight, and many of the people in this room, had never got to have. And that's down to mermaids, and that's what you're going to give to thousands of kids by finishing off this stupid fucking game.
Yeah. I think that's it. I've never seen I don't know when the ending starts. I haven't seen the ending in years. So is that?
I have to say that a lot of us we were sitting at home, we were expecting to have an average day.
Wait, is he done it? Has he done it?
Is that
Oh.
It's it. It's done.
Is it
It's
it?
done.
Everybody shut up. I think that he just...
Yeah.
Oh,
shit. He's done it.
Oh, they're introducing the sixth Kong for the next round.
On Twitter.
What have you done, Harris?
There's like 1 million people!
Does anyone
Everyone, Harris!
Harris, I just want I really like Dark Souls 2.
I really love Lamp.
God, they really wanted to fuck that monkey, didn't they?
This is incredible. Oh my god.
Seriously, thank you to everyone who fucking joined. This has been amazing. Oh my gosh.
Hell yeah, this is really good.
Trans lives matter.
Congratulations. I am going to suck the dick of...
That was a really good moment to cut it off. Thank you to all 21,000 people for bearing that.
Thank you.
Wow. Absolute.
So-
Dan, I want to say thank you, and thank you, Casey, when I see you next time, and thank you, Dan. You've done so much.
I think I should interview you before you go.
Oh wow.
So, you spent an entire weekend playing Donkey Kong 64 for Mermaids and raised $322,849 and counting. The number of people who owe you their gratitude is literally in the thousands. Thank you so much. How do you feel? And when are you going to bed?
I feel very awake. Oh, thank God, okay. I was very worried for a second that they bothered to give Candy jiggle physics. But they didn't, so some small credit. I will no longer write down the names of the people in these credits. I feel fantastic. This has been the most amazing 60 hours of my entire life. And thank you all for coming out, and thank you all for donating. You did all the real work, and Dan did all the real work, and Casey did, and everyone who donated did. I've just had a pretty good time playing a game from my childhood, even more than I ever would have wanted to. And it's been so wonderful. and I'm so proud of having been given the opportunity to do any of this, and it's over. I did it. I've settled the score with my childhood. And
I really wish Susie was around, but I'm fairly certain she's asleep.
Yes, I'm sure she is. I'm sure she doesn't understand any of this. She doesn't know any of these characters, so this would be lost on. But thank you for coming on, Susie. I could have taken more naps, but people who reminded me how much this matters came on to like make me continue and give me energy and make sure that this ever ended, which for some people might not even be the desired outcome, but it's so wonderful. And thank you for the question, Dan. I'm so happy
think
to be
chat
here.
would like you to stop the timer. I'm not sure it matters, but I mean, I think it's a PB either way. I'm not sure it's going to be competitive on the leaderboards, but good work there. Susie has a fantastic thing to wake up to. Thank you so much for making this happen.
Thank you, Dan. I love you, and I do owe you one, and we should hang out sometime in a less stressful context. Please, can someone go back and stop the timer retroactively at the point where the last input is pressed, because that's my actual time, and I'm gonna submit that on the boards. I'm not really.
All right,
but
so
yeah, there wasn't a fourth beaver bother. We did it. Oh, I think this is the 101% extra. Oh, that was Jiggle Physics. Oh no, take it back. Rewind the credits. We're gonna get him. And it's just me again. Finally, at long last. Thank you all for watching this and donating. You did this, and when this stream ends and I collapse into a hole, you will still be here, and you can still do amazing things. We can build a better world, and it's not impossible. And any doubts I ever had about that have definitely been flushed very far down the toilet now. So, yeah. What the fuck is this ending?